Okay, I'm gonna push that item onto the main. I'd like to call the March 20th Montecito Board of Architectural Review consent review to order. First item is item C1, 1180 Mesa Road. And I'd like to just take a second. Gentlemen, I want you to look at the extent of the drawings that these guys are presenting today, just so that we have a reference point. Okay, what, Scott, and is it Kent?
Yeah, Kent Mixon with Androlitis Mixon Architects.
Okay, have you had any, do you have any comments? Let's try to,
Can we see the site plan on that, please? I had one question, I think. Yeah, I really like the garage doors, by the way. It's very minor, simple question on the driveway parking. Does it need to go over that far? I mean, I know you've got backup space and you've got parking space and seems like you could pare that down a little bit, but I mean, and nothing that I would hold up anything for you today, but just kind of a question.
Yeah, I use a mid-size sedan template, and this sort of comfortably accommodates that. It's really tricky getting the two cars.
Okay, just,
And getting, when there's cars parked, getting the vehicles out of the garage and into the garage. So I think, long story short, yes, I think we do need to take the parking to that full extent.
the only thing I would say is if you use like a car overhang factor, you could steal some landscaping with that. But anyways, I'm fine with the project. I think you guys did a nice job on it.
on the upper right-hand corner, there is a condensing unit, which does not show up on the landscape plans.
Oh, yeah, I think that got added.
Okay, and they're gonna need access to it, et cetera. Okay, number two, PDF number 3, please. Right there. I see the patina in the lower right-hand corner, but I don't know how to achieve that. Can you please add a specification? I went out to the web and looked at it. It looks like there's a lot of vinegar options and others. Can you please add the specification on how to actually get there onto the drawings?
Yeah, and we can research that. I know in the past, we haven't done anything to the
I
the
won't
metal.
approve that.
And it has turned to that copper penny color fairly quickly.
I won't approve that. So can you get some kind of a, it's shiny. We're trying to do everything in our power not to have shiny roofs and the gutters. Okay. And then also there's a light fixture in the lower left-hand corner that calls out opaque glass. Do you know what opaque means?
Yeah, well, the intention is there, and maybe the note's not proper, but
Can't see through it.
yeah, it's just to let light through. It's not, it's so you can't see the bare bulb and so forth.
That company has milk glass and other glass that complies. Could
I
you?
think
please-
that's what was intended.
Could you please correct that?
Along those lines, what's confusing with that is graphically, you're seeing the light, and so sometimes it's like halfway down, you're gonna shield it. And so that's maybe what needs to show is that it's shielded halfway down so that the light's only going down vertically and not,
Not sure
right now, it looks like it's coming out to the sides, just graphically.
Yeah, okay.
Using graphically is all I'm suggesting.
Okay, and then also you don't have, you have some kind of a pop-out detail on the windows that looks like it's greenish, and you have a front gate that's greenish. You don't have a color shown for it.
It's actually, yeah, it's actually the gray color that we have everywhere else that's on that.
So you have a two-tone, not a three-tone.
It's two-tone, yes. Yeah.
That's not clear on the drawings?
Okay.
You know, I thought the green looked pretty good, to tell you the truth.
It's actually kind of a gray brown color, which is that color there. It doesn't,
Okay, if that's what you want, it's your project, that's fine. Can you clarify that on the drawings, please, particularly on the elevations? And besides that, I'm good with this
Can we
project.
look at the garage doors for a second?
there was back, yeah,
Yeah.
right there, lower left.
I thought you had another image of that.
Well, there's the perspectives, but
Okay. You okay?
Where are they? I'm not, I saw
Uh,
them on the elevation and then I saw another
wouldn't be
Um,
back, wouldn't be back there.
graphic that caught my eye in a good way, actually.
You have some photos of something, yeah. It would have been on these elevations.
Yeah, I think maybe that, okay. What are you doing with the garage doors?
It's basically kind of a weathered wood.
Yeah, they look really nice, actually. So I don't think it's the same image I was looking at, but overall they look really nice. And then, sorry, Scott, I just was thinking androlitis, so. And
Okay, so I'm good approval with the metal finish detail to be added, the light fixtures to be, the glazing elements to be clarified, and adding the condenser unit onto your plan, and whatever pathway, et cetera, needs to be there, so it gets done properly, okay? Elizabeth's item, are you okay with that? We'll recommend approval.
yes,
Okay, item C2, 612 Coles Road. Elizabeth, are you with us somewhere?
I am.
Okay, good. Did you have any, oh, hang on, guys, hang on. Just before we do that, is there anybody that's attending this meeting that would like to address the board on item C1, 1180 Mesa Road, please?
No requests.
Okay, excellent. Item C2, thanks, guys. 612 Coles Road. Do you have any comments about this, Rob?
guess that the back patio wall, all that stuff is existing where there's like a masonry wall.
Yeah, that's all. We just have that little entry element.
Yeah, I was. And then my question was the breakups in the windows, the intent there is to match what's somewhere else? It looked like I thought maybe there could be a little bit more traditional.
Elizabeth, we talked about that at the main board. What have you done
Okay,
about that?
So this is not, this is the existing showing the demo, so go to the next one, right? So I did talk to David Inger, who says he thinks he can allow us to reuse that door. So he's working on that. And so we're basically just, that door exists the way it's in the breakup that it is now. And it's reflected on the same, the rear of the structure. You can see on the third structure down, I can't read the north elevation, I guess. It's the north elevation. It has
Okay.
that same breakup in that room for whatever reason. I don't know why. And in the primary bedroom, you can also see there's no breakup. It's kind of a hodgepodge, but we're reusing those doors and putting the clear story above.
Okay, yeah, no, the mine's on I just was expecting more like the windows where you have a
Right.
lot more kind of into it. Okay,
Yeah.
The whole building is,
okay. I'm fine.
okay, and I'm okay with it too. So is there anybody that would like to address the board on item C2, 612 Coles Road, please?
The lighting though on that, is that?
No requests.
No, I think the lighting, okay, let's go and look at the lighting. I think it's correct.
I'm just looking at the picture of it.
Yeah, but I think it's called out correctly. There's a light in the lower left-hand corner, lower
Right there.
right-hand corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you zoom in on that, please?
Is that dark sky compliant?
Now I checked with that company and they said yes.
I would think so with that heavy,
Yeah, it's a heavy, like a milk glass of some sort.
Okay. Okay.
okay? And we've done public comment. Okay, item C3, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Now, we're gonna do this at the full board.
Right,
We're
so
just
I'll,
gonna chat here for a minute because of the public comment letter.
Is it a public comment, that letter?
Have you seen it? There's a public comment letter. Chip, are you with us? Chip? No. There was a public comment letter that did not like the inclusion of a pickleball court based on noise. And so,
Oh, was that the letter from last time we were here?
I don't know. I got it
Yes, yes, it was. there was
March
a letter
19th.
Yeah, it's the
last
same
week.
letter, and that's from a neighbor that is about 10 houses away?
one house away.
Oh,
So who's online, please?
I'm sorry, this is Paul Ashley. I'm online.
Okay, Paul, thank you. And Chip, you are not with us, correct? Okay. So basically what they're concerned about is the noise generation off of this. And I don't want to do this here. I want to do it at the full board. Okay? But we
John,
should-
oh, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
And I don't think the full board has had a chance to read it. So I'm going to read it then, and we'll go over and talk about it, the distance that we see, et cetera. Okay, and that was the only issue, right?
I had a question on
Yeah.
that.
Oh, and current work time and noise nuisances, it sounds like you guys are jumping the gun a little bit out there.
no, we have a permit for an interior remodel and for this restuccoing of the walls.
And there's some tree that they think is a public nuisance, but that's not this board. Go ahead,
So
Rob.
my only question is, played a lot of tennis and always at one point, and the courts always ran north and south from Sun, the pickleball court.
And
So is there a reason why you folks didn't run that north and south? Does pickleball have the same notion of trying to run a court north and south? Is that generally how you try to do those? Or?
Sorry, just real briefly, it was run east-west just for grading purposes because that creates less grading revisions. That's the only reason.
It's about a 4 or 5 foot drop from one piece of land to the
Yeah,
other.
well, I mean, the hardcore, like, I know in hardcore tennis players want that north-south orientation, so maybe the pickleball isn't as.
if this is their choice, it's their
Yeah,
choice.
that's just it.
I understand that it's just, it's residential, nobody's a professional
Okay,
player, so.
yeah.
Okay, now let's take a look at the,
Can I say one more thing?
yes, please.
That letter was included the last time we were here.
It was dated March 19th. That's yesterday.
Oh.
It's the same
there was-
letter.
Fine. It was,
Oh, okay.
and you do not yet have an approval.
Oh, I know that.
So they're going to continue to make whatever comments, until they receive it. Okay?
John, can I ask a question about pickleball?
Yes, please. Speak up a little.
I apologize. On our last project, we did a pickleball court, which got approved. And I remember the process. The planning department had various regulations about the distance a pickleball court needs to be from a neighboring property. Wouldn't that same regulation apply on this lot?
Kimberly, are you here or somebody? Alex? Yes, no, please?
No, it needs to comply with
Speak
standards
up.
set. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Of course, no, there is no dedicated distance. It just needs to comply with the setbacks for the zone.
Oh, okay. And if we are complying with the setbacks for the zone, but a neighbor objects, how is this decision made?
We will find out at the full board.
Okay, thank you, sir.
you know. Okay, now, can we just, you are on civil, can we go back to sheet 1? My sense of looking at this is that maybe they're good enough for preliminary. They're certainly not good enough for final. So they just don't have enough information on them. So can we just go through and details. There is materials there, but there are no details on this.
The first, second and third sheet, or the third and fourth are all the details.
Okay,
of the
let's go
Project.
back and look at that.
Paul, do you want to talk to the details?
Yeah, the first, go to the third sheet, which is some sketch details, many of them taken from the traditional drawings. And then the
Right
next.
here?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, fine. That's some, but
Okay, the next sheet is the photographs of the existing building conditions,
yeah.
with the exception
and-
of the light fixtures, which we're going to be copying on all the new elements.
All going to be the same.
Okay. I'm not going to, I don't want to approve this here. I want to push this up to the full board. Okay, so you'll be the first item that we review on the full agenda so that the whole board. Today,
Okay.
okay? Because of this letter and because of what I personally consider to be not enough details. And we'll see what the full board says. Right now, we're about ready.
Oh, just sit here? Okay.
Isn't that hilarious? Yes, please. What item, please? Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, so. Thank you. I'd like to call the March 20th, 2025 Montecito Board of Architectural Review to order. The first item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on an item that is not on the agenda today? Or for some item that is not on the agenda today?
And for those of us joining us via telephone, it's *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself. Not seeing any hands.
Okay. Agenda status report.
We do have one change to today's agenda. The applicant for item number 4, located at 985 Romero Canyon Road, has withdrawn their project. So I'm looking for motion to drop the item from the agenda.
Such a motion, please.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? I voted aye on that also. So item number Roman numeral 3 minutes. We actually have 2 sets of minutes. We did not have the quorum for the 20th. Is that what the date was?
Yeah.
February 20th. We did review it prior to understanding that we had the quorum or not. The suggestions that the people that had attended that board are included. Does anybody have any other suggestions, please, or changes to the agenda? I will move for approval of the February 20th, 2025 minutes as presented today. And March 6th, does anybody have any comments about that, please?
John, I think that we should take a motion separately.
I'm going to.
Okay.
Oh, didn't we, so I just made a motion for approval of that.
Okay. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, you good now? Okay. March 6th minutes. Has anybody got any comments on this, please? Anybody? Okay, on the Roman numeral number 4, the top comment on the next page, Watson recommends that the members of the MBAR, and then add the words, review the continuing education presentation. And then on item number 2, comment number 2, reconsider design of the arches at the entry to another material and form. You guys remember that item? Yeah, so they were actually two things we were asking for.
One thing that I just saw too
Yeah, one.
was it referenced, Stacy and I at Lotus Land on the 13th. We have not yet done that. We're scheduled for the 27th. If that has any
Okay.
importance.
Okay, so and that's all I have. I will move for approval of the March 6th, 2025 minutes as amended. Is there a second, please?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Members' informational briefing. Anyone go anywhere, do anything, please? Staff update. Anybody?
No reports from me.
Alex?
No reports on my end either.
Okay, very good. Montecito consent agenda. We had 3 items today. So the first one was 1180 Mesa Road. That's a project done by Kent Maxim and Scott Menzel. And we had a couple of minor comments about the light fixtures and how to finish that copper roof that was on there. And their landscape, the condenser was not shown on the landscape plan, and I felt that it needed to be. So I will move for approval. And we are on for preliminary and final, so let's do that first. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number C1, 1180 Mesa Road, please?
No requests.
I will move for approval, preliminary and final of item C1, 1180 Mesa Road with the following comments. The method or material needed to achieve the patina on sheet G002 shall be included in the set. And the light fixtures on that same sheet, the glazing material shall be clarified. And the heating and cooling condenser shall be added to the landscape plans. Is there a second for that, please?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Items C2, 612 Coles Road, that was a very small entry addition that Elizabeth Sorghum brought through. We thought that it was okay the way it is. And we are on for preliminary and final. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item C2, 612 Coles Road, please?
No requests.
I will move for preliminary and final as submitted. Is there a second, please?
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, item C3, 680 Buena Vista Avenue. Now, I want to kick this up to the full board, which is what we're doing right here. The reason for it is, number one, I have told Zoran this person on a one-to-one, we ran into each other. I'm not going to vote for it because the FAR is too high. So I didn't want to interfere with the recommendations of the full board. That's number one. Number two, in my particular feeling, these represent preliminary drawings, but not final. And I want the board to make an independent assessment of that. And number three, there was a public comment letter about the pickleball court. And we can go into it in detail, but I think, according to Zoran, we've seen, do you want me to read this or shall I just summarize it? Everybody? They felt that the pickleball court is too close to their house or their property and it was going to be a nuisance. And they asked us to deny it. So, or put up a wall, a sound wall between the pickleball court and their property. That's number one. Number two, going down, David. They believe that the work, time, and noise is a nuisance. Zoran has said that he has a permit to do interior work. Whether or not he's working within the allowable hours, I don't know, but I don't see that that's an issue before this board. And number three, apparently there's a banyan tree, which I don't know any, whatever. And they thought that it might be a public hazard, but again, I don't see that that's an issue for this board. Okay, so Chip, are you here with us by any chance? Or the neighbors, please? Okay, so can we go to Google Maps, please? Oh, just before you do that, you see where the pickleball court is on the left-hand side? Right there. Okay, now can we go to Google Maps, please? So it's right about there, and the primary residence, the properties that have written us this letter are directly to the south of this property here. So if we do where that black circle is, that's about where the pickleball court is and about where you are. Just click it again. That's 334 feet, which is just over a football field. Okay. So as a point of interest, and then if we can go back to the drawings,
What's the grade change?
the what?
We know what the approximate grade, topographic grade change is?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, just
Below them, I
roughly.
think.
It's, sir, could you just make sure your mic is turned on? Thank you.
Is it on now?
Yeah,
Perfect.
Okay,
You guys are up high,
we're up high and then they keep going down,
much lower down.
much lower.
So, yeah, because if you put walls around it, it'll just,
Over the top.
it'll send it down to them more, I think.
okay, and then let's have that discussion in a minute. I want the board just to see what's being presented so that the board can make an assessment about the completeness of the drawing. So if you can just. Yeah, and then there's landscape plans too, which I felt were pretty well done. Did you feel that? I'm not convinced about these. Okay, so,
There's also grading plans, John,
Grading and drainage.
grading and drainage.
That's them.
are there any questions from members of the board, please?
Is there a lighting plan for the landscape? I don't see that.
We weren't doing any landscape lighting,
None?
none.
Okay.
Lighting,
Are there any other questions, please?
the lighting is on the building.
The lighting is on the building.
It's all just on the building, just architectural lighting? Okay.
No
Yes.
plans, no.
At
In the
exterior
pergola?
doors.
Okay.
Any other questions, please? Public comment, is there anybody that would like to address the board on item C3, 680 Buena Vista Drive, please?
And if you're joining us online, go ahead and raise your virtual hand if you'd like to speak on this item. Seeing no hands.
Okay, comments. Any comments on this?
I think the location of the pickleball court, I think I'm fine with that. It's way out in the front by the road, so I wouldn't have any issue with that. And yes, the drawings lacked any details. So I would like to have it preliminary approved today and then back on the consent for final.
Are there any other comments, please? Would somebody like to make a motion for preliminary on item C3, 680 Buena Vista Drive, please?
Make the motion.
As submitted?
Hmm.
Okay. And is there a second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay.
Can I ask one question? Just so we're clear of your comment about wanting more details, could you give us an idea of what kind of details you're looking for? Because every detail is in this plan. We're not sure what we're missing. The brick detail, the railing detail, the soffit detail, the window, that's all there. It's all in the plans on the second and third page. Am I wrong, Paul?
Well, go to the next page, which is the photographs. Those are representations of the existing conditions with the exception of the light fixtures, which are new.
Drawings.
So Paul, what he's saying is he wants drawings of these pictures for the detail. I'm just trying to be clear so we know what to bring back.
Like everybody else.
That, okay.
And if you want to stay with us, we have, towards the end of the meeting, we have some much more complete drawings that would show you what we look at. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. So you have preliminary 10-day appeal period, but we'll see you back soon.
Thank you.
Okay, finally, item number 1. I apologize, everybody. Who is here? Kent, do I see you? Come on. Oh, Jesse. Okay, so this is San Ysidro Ranch pool additions.
So this is, and I'll go through a little bit of the history of it, but this is for the pool house gym as well as some scope proposed just north of that, which is the spa facilities.
Okay, go.
Have we seen this before?
No,
I thought we did it once.
So again, I'll go through the history as part of my presentation. You've seen a portion of it, but because we have an expanded scope that we want to present, it has a new case number.
And what's with the old case number? Is it gone now? Because this is overlapping?
I believe so, but that would be a question to direct to our planner.
Hi, Heidi Jones here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm on the road, but yes, that case number has been withdrawn.
Okay, thank you. Jesse, the floor is yours.
Thank you. My name is Jessie Richards. I'm with Appleton Partners. Steve Aldana, also with Appleton Partners, is going to drive the presentation for us. So as I briefly mentioned, a portion of this project, specifically the pool house gym, was presented for conceptual review to MBAR in July of last year. At that time, MBAR requested that we explore how the pool house gym fits within the broader context of the surrounding area of the property. In reviewing this context with the owner, we decided to proceed at this time with additional scope of work, which includes the addition of a spa facilities that will be located at the upper existing lawn area to the north of the existing pool house gym. The pool house gym supports the existing pool function as well as gym and other fitness programs for guests of the San Ysidro Ranch. The addition of the spa facilities allows for additional wellness offerings that will be available to guests of the ranch. When we were here previously in July, the board also asked that the pool house be explored in 3D for use in studying the materials and details. The following presentation shows both the development and design of the pool house gym as well as spa facilities and identifies how the design fits into the cottage style vernacular of the ranch. So this is our cover sheet with general statistics and scope of work description. Next page. We have both overall site plans showing the entire context of the ranch as well as enlarged plans for the scope of work. This is the existing site plan, and for orientation, on the upper left portion of the plan, you see the main drive for the ranch and existing gatehouse. On the right-hand side of this site plan, you see the existing pool house gym, and lawn area. As well, for your reference, we've included some existing images So the far left image is standing at that upper lawn area looking north. The middle image is standing on the lawn area looking south towards the existing pool and pool house gym. There's quite a bit of grade change so that when you are on that upper area, you look over the lower facility. And then the far right is a photograph of the existing pool and pool house gym. Next page. Again, this is looking at the overall site plan. So again, for orientation, the top left, you see the main entrance drive to the properties. And then on the far right-hand side, you see the scope of work area for the pool house gym and spa facilities. I will also identify, just for orientation, that north is to the right on these site plans. Next page. Looking again at existing and proposed context, this is an enlarged site plan showing the scope of work area. This is the existing site plan where you can see on the left-hand side, we have the existing pool, pool house gym, and then up the hill to the left is that existing lawn area. Next page, please. This is the proposed site plan showing the pool house gym function. There is a stair that is tucked into the landscape that leads to an upper roof yoga deck for the pool house gym program. And then there is a bridge footpath that takes you up the hill to the spa facilities cottages. The spa facilities cottages include a reception cottage. It will also include a spa programs cottage, inclusive of locker rooms, sauna rooms, cold plunge. And then there's also a massage treatment rooms cottage. Next sheet. Moving into the floor plans for each of these. This is the pool house gym. On the far left, you see that we are proposing a pool gym bath. Right now, the existing facility has one bath that supports both the adjacent existing bar and the pool and gym functions. So we're proposing to separate that and have a dedicated bath, which you can see in the upper right for the existing bar. In the middle of the floor plan, we have a Pilates room. And to the right of that is the gym area where the gym equipment is located. And then on the plan for the upper portion, you can see the roof yoga deck with that stair that leads to the upper area. Next page. These are floor plans of the spa facilities cottages. Again, starting in the lower left, this is the reception cottage, which also includes some back of house function spaces and a T-bar that will be accessible from an exterior walkway. Just beyond, in the middle portion of this plan sheet, is the spa facilities, including the locker rooms, spa rooms with saunas, steam rooms, and cold plunge. And then on the right-hand side, you have the massage treatment rooms cottage. Next page. This is a roof plan for those spa facilities, so you can see the separation between each of the cottages, speaking to the cottage style vernacular relationship of other areas on the San Isidro Ranch. Next sheet. Here we have exterior elevations for both the pool house gym and the spa facilities, starting at the top of the sheet. On the upper left, you have the front elevation of the pool house gym. On the far left-hand side is the pool bathroom, Pilates room, and upper yoga deck, which are detailed with stone veneered walls and glass railing. The right-hand side is the gym equipment area, which is detailed with board and bat siding and concrete shake style roof. We've also brought with us a perspective of what this building will look like. So here you can see the separation of volume using materiality for the bathroom and Pilates room, yoga deck to the left-hand side, and then the board and batten gym area to the right. Both the stone walls of board and batten materials are referenced from other areas of Sandy Cedar Ranch, which we will go through in more detail when we get to our materials board later in the presentation. If we could return, thank you, to the drawing set. The bottom portion of this elevation sheet details the spa facilities, which include similar materials and details that are consistent with the character of ranch cottages. The middle left elevation, you can see on the left-hand side, is that reception cottage. In the middle of this elevation, behind that cottage, is the spa facilities, locker rooms, and saunas. And then to the right, you see the massage treatment rooms cottage. Next sheet. These are some building sections showing the development of the pool house design, which includes a vaulted ceiling with exposed wood rafters in the gym area. Next sheet. This is a conceptual landscape plan showing the planting areas within the boundaries of the scope of work. The plant palette proposed will be consistent with the ranch and includes Mediterranean planting around the buildings. I believe we have Jim Hyatt of James Hyatt Studios on the call, and I will let him further expand upon the conceptual landscape. Jim, are you with us?
I am, yes. Hello, everyone. I'm the project landscape architect for this area. Our goal is to create a special wellness area in the landscape where the users can enjoy the outdoors in a tranquil environment. I was a landscape architect for all the outdoor public spaces at the ranch. So I'm designing the planting, the hardscape, and paths in this area to be in harmony with the rest of the ranch. The materials will be a combination of flagstone, decomposed granite, and Belgard pavers, which are on the rival road and the parking area. And all of these materials are used throughout the ranch. This area, as Jesse said, has been used for some time as a grass lawn, which will be removed and replaced with low water needs plants. This will reduce the current water consumption in this area. The landscape design concept is to use all low water needs plants from the wool calls list, as well as plants from the city of Santa Barbara's list of plants that have low water needs but are listed as medium water needs on wool calls. The center area, there'll be an open pavilion with vegas on the roof where it lets some light through and out walls. And then there's a water feature in the center of that. We are planning to use some plants around the pavilion that have low water needs, but have the appearance of subtropical plants. The plants bordering this area will have a more Mediterranean appearance. The spa pools, our intent is to use layers of screening plants around the spa pools to create privacy, but still allow for ocean views. We will utilize boulders to retain the sloped areas where the spa pools are located. There are some existing live oak trees in this area, and we intend to keep them, but we may have to remove one or two. If so, it'll be replaced with new oak trees. Beyond these areas, past the parking area to the far right, we'll be using native plants and to mesh with the existing landscape. I think maybe we could go to the pavilion perspective. Yeah, so perspective of the central area with the water feature in the center, and you can see the roof will be quite open. And then we want to get sort of a subtropical look with the planting around this area. And then if we could go on to the spa pools perspective. Yeah. So there you see the boulders that will help us because it's on a pretty decent slope. And then we'll just be tucking things in among those. And we'd like to have a little waterfall at each spa pool, just to create some noise and help with privacy. Maybe we can now look at some of the proposed plants that we're seeing could be used for this area. Okay, so we are utilizing low plat trees at the upper right, upper left, excuse me. And then you can see some of the others like just Arctostaphylos and Baccharis as the native plants, and these are just some of the species that we want to use. The Philodendron Xanadu is one that kind of helps create sort of a subtropical look in the center area. Bottom right, that would be Schefflera arbicola, which would help give it sort of the tropical vibe we want to achieve. Growing on that central pavilion will be the giant Burmese honeysuckle that was just passed on the other page. We will have there in the far middle to the right. Yeah, we do have hedging that is along the bottom towards the swimming pool area, and then we have it along the roadway that you go up to beyond this area. And so it'll be kind of enclosed with large hedges. Other than on the view side, we were trying to allow for views to the ocean. Next page. Yeah, and so we're going to be using Zoysia tenuifolia, the mounding grasses. That'll be underneath some of these shrubs like the Schefflera arbicola. And then we'll be using Moyaparum on some of the steep hillside between the spas as a ground cover. And then around the pavilion, we have some giant white bird of paradise. So we really want to get your ideas and comments on the wellness area and our approach to this and on the landscape. If you please let us know your thoughts. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. And then Steve, if we could go to the materials board. We'll just briefly talk through. So even though we are here for conceptual today, we wanted to share our inspiration from other areas of the San Ysidro Ranch that have informed our conceptual design for both the pool house, gym, and spa facilities. So starting with this sheet is a series of imagery from other areas of the ranch showing the painted and stained doors, windows, painted board and batten siding, wood decks, wood railings, the concrete shake style roof, as well as copper gutters and downspouts. Next sheet. And here we see the different paving materials, the Cherokee Creek sandstone, both ashlar and irregularly shaped depending on the program. The wood lattice at decks, sandstone fireplace, some of the landscape railings, as well as the stone walls with glass railing, which is the inspiration for that yoga deck we see at the pool house gym. On the far bottom left, this is an existing exterior light fixture at the ranch that we're proposing for use as part of these cottages and pool house gym. It does have translucent frosted glazing, and the light source is housed in the top of the fixture to make it night sky compliant. And then the bottom far right is an inspiration image for some of the materiality proposed at that pavilion. That concludes our presentation.
Tip.
Can you go back to the first page, the existing images of can you zoom into the picture on the right-hand side? Okay, and then, can you go to, the rendering of the pool, a new pool building? Okay, so the question I have is that, it's a new project. It's a brand new, based on what the existing and what you propose now, it's a pretty much a build over.
There are small portions of the existing pool house gym structure that are to be retained, but it is an expansion
Yeah,
of the
pretty much a
existing
new roof and
structure.
new everything. So the question I have is that since this almost seemed like a brand new project, which is fine, I think be beautiful. Is there a reason why you still try to separate the gym from the bathroom visually?
Yes, this was in direct response to one of the comments we received from the board in July when we previously presented as all board and batten. And there was a request to identify a breakup of the volumes of the two spaces using materiality and height.
I was at the first meeting and my recollection was the reason we made that comment because what you did the first time, you kept the first building and you keep adding on to the left, to the right. And that was a comment if you can try to unify them. But I'm just a question now, since, which is fine, it's a brand new building, look completely different, there's nothing, might as well. That's why I'm asking you why you still keep it the two separate buildings visually. So that's one question. The second had to do with, can you go to the site plan with the parking? Okay, so, is a retaining wall, flatten out the site, for the new buildings, or it's not a retaining wall?
So the lawn area where these spa facility cottages are proposed is relatively flat, but overall, this scope of work site is on quite a bit of a hill. So you see that middle section. I believe it's between the existing lawn and the existing pool house, there's about a 15-foot grade change. So there's an existing retaining wall at the lower portion behind the pool house gym that we are keeping. And then Steve, if you could go to the next sheet. We are required to provide some accessible parking spaces for this program. So the parking lot portion, yes, will be graded out level to accommodate that. And there will be a small retaining wall behind that to hold back the continued grade as it goes uphill. We are working with a civil engineer to detail out those aspects of the project.
When you say small, is that less than 5 feet or more than 5 feet?
I believe it is less than 5 feet, but when we return next time, we will have civil input on what that wall is.
So you will provide a site section that go through the site?
Yes, actually, if you look at the lower portion of this sheet, there is a, thank you. There is a conceptual site section
Oh, I
showing.
see. So they seem like about 7 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, the buildings, can you go back to the site plan again? So is it one building that continuously connected? Or it's a 3 or 4 separate buildings? Can you look at the overall site plan? Yeah. Is it like I can count like 1, maybe 2, 3, or just one building?
So the
Yeah,
floor plan's a little deceptive in that there are breezeways between them. So where Steve's mouse is, there is true separation between the structures and the roofs. And then between the locker room, spa rooms, and the massage treatment rooms, there is a lowered roof portion. I think, Steve, if we go to the exterior elevations, you can also see the volume separation. So that middle left, yeah.
So I guess the question had to do with the fact that, seems like the separation between, go back to the roof plan. It seemed like about 4 or 5 feet between the two buildings.
It will, I believe fire department requires a certain distance, which we will comply with.
And which is 10 feet.
Yes.
So it would be much bigger than what you show.
Yes, and there should be a break line on that roof plan. If you see on the floor plan, we have that break line just so that we could fit the context onto one sheet.
Okay, so this one is not reflecting with the roof. The roof is it's in a way the one continuous building.
It is not one continuous
It will
building.
be a one continuous building. You have a function between the two. buildings.
No, Steve, if you could go to the roof plans, please. So there is 10 feet of separation between the reception cottage and the remainder of the cottages. There will be a flat roof, low roof connection between the other two. So it is two completely separated structures, and then there is a small corridor connection for practicality reasons between the other two.
Okay, yeah, so that's what I'm trying to clarify. So you will, the two buildings on the left will be connected by the breezeway.
The two on the right, yes.
Right, and the one down below, you will have to modify to give a 10 feet separation.
Yes, there is 10 feet. Again, we're missing a break line here, which is a little deceptive
Really?
between the two roof
Okay.
spaces.
And then where what is the tea house?
The tea
Where
garden?
is it? Is it right in the middle?
If you go one more sheet up, Steve, to the floor plans.
It's right in the middle.
Or sorry, are you asking about the tea room or the
Yeah,
pavilion?
the tea room, where the
The tea room is just a room with a place to make tea. So you'll check in at reception, you can go make a tea and then
yeah, but you
sit
have a
in a waiting area.
Let's over that.
Yes, so Steve, if you go to the spa facilities floor plan, it's in the lower left-hand side point, that's the tea bar, so it is under the roof structure of the reception cottage.
Okay, so which get to my next question. If you look at the rendering for the tea room, the tea house or whatever. Pavilion,
You,
Yeah, what-
this is a pavilion, which is separate from the tea room. This is a
but
different.
it's right in the courtyard of the building.
It is in the center of the buildings, yes.
So what is the height of this space?
13,
your-
so the overall structure is 13 feet, 6 inches. The bottom of the beams is 8 feet.
So it's sloping up.
Yes.
And do you have an elevation for that yet?
We do not have an elevation for that yet, but we'll bring additional drawings to the next hearing.
And then all the new buildings, what is the maximum height? The ridge is what? All the complex.
So if we can go back to the elevations. So we have,
Feet.
yeah,
And you don't have any rendering of these new building, only,
not as part of this presentation, no. But again, we're here for conceptual and happy to bring additional clarification to our next hearing.
thank you, that's all I have.
Bob, please.
Could we go to the site plan, please? Well, that one works for now. Actually, the colored landscape plan would probably be a little, you just passed it, yeah. What's the deal with the drainage, the concrete drainage channel? It says new.
So there is an existing concrete drainage channel that runs at the retaining wall behind the existing pool house gym. We're proposing to rework a portion of it. It will be finished out to resemble a creek bed so that this walkway experience feels that you're walking over a rock creek bed until it hits the thick existing vegetation, at which case it will return to an undergrounded drainage channel.
Do those walls that step at the lower portion of that, there's kind of these triangle spaces, the landscaping, are those new walls or what?
That's existing. That's the existing retaining wall behind the pool house gym.
Okay, on the spa is, you're kind of showing slightly different sizes. Is there some kind of, intent to have different capacities with
Yes.
them?
Depending on who is visiting, which guests are visiting this facility, if it's individual couples or, a group of 5 or 6 bridesmaids.
So what about the, are we going with, on one of the other projects this firm did, everything was fiberglass. Are you going with gunite where these are all custom done, or are these going to be fiberglass spas?
I don't know that we have considered the full detailing of the materiality, but when we come back next time, we will have a proposal, and we do welcome any thoughts you have at this time on materiality.
So I'm assuming you're working ADA compliance into this, but did you folks look at on the spa area? So from the tea room, to the left, which direction is that? I'm sorry.
Just to clarify, there is a tea bar that is within the reception cottage, and then there is the pavilion, which is an open air
I was thinking the
structure.
pavilion. So is there an ocean view from the pavilion or something there?
Yes.
And then are the spa areas at the same level?
There is a slight slope toward the spa areas, but yes, they are elevated on a
Spas are higher?
so I believe from the current finish elevation of the pavilion as proposed is about 2 feet from the pavilion grade to the spa grade, which is why we're proposing vegetation to create privacy around the spas with look-throughs from the spas.
So you've got, like, that oak tree is that a pretty nice oak? You got a couple of
Yes.
trees in there.
Yeah, there's
So
a
you've got
handful of
little-
nice oak trees, all of which we're proposing to maintain.
Okay, did you consider maybe trying to drop the spas and to some degree to a lower terrace and?
You can see that some are like the spa pool there towards the top. There's a stairway down to that one. Yeah, so it goes down 3 feet.
Okay, all right, so you
So
are dropping, you are dropping them
we are
down.
dropping
Okay.
some of the spas, yes.
Okay, and then is that, in some cases you have all green, but is that like flagstone decking around each spa, but that you're showing all green or what?
Well,
Graphically, I'm confused.
In the green area, that would be the boulders.
Yeah, so again, this
It's
is
a little confusing, but yeah.
conceptually showing the planting scope of work, but we will work with EHS to make sure we've accommodated the appropriate amount of coping for each of the spas.
Okay, and then the final question is, there seems to be this emphasis on the low water use. I guess what I'm encouraging is that you differentiate the spa areas, seems to me should be lush and subtropical, and then that you save your water in other parts of the project.
Correct. We're proposing to keep the Mediterranean style planting at the buildings, which is characteristic of the ranch. But around the spas and the pavilion, we're proposing a subtropical lush feeling landscape.
Okay, so I have more comments during the comment time, but thank you.
Robert, questions, please.
Wow.
Can you get closer to the mic?
Given the nature, the increase in development up there, parking and fire, I mean, everybody else has already commented on things, but where's the parking? How about the access and the fire department? Have you got that all worked out?
Yes, we are coordinating with the fire department to make sure they have the necessary clearances. If you look just to the north of this plan, there is a drive, and that is what would provide access to the parking lot. Again, the parking lot is more to provide accessible parking for guests who require
Where's
it.
the parking lot?
It's to the right-hand side of this plan right there.
That's it?
Yes, again, this is for guests who require accessible parking.
How many spaces are there? I mean,
Most of the people will be guests
it's
of the
intense
hotel.
development on
Yeah, and then
a
there's a
historic
drop-off zone.
site. I mean, I'm trying to figure it out.
Hi, this is Heidi. I want to chime in if you have a minute. The project is going to SDRC today to get comments from all the departments and departmental letters. This is a new submittal and a conceptual review. They have an existing development plan and square footage left in it. So we'll make sure that we comply with all the department
Got it. Okay.
requirements.
All right. No more questions.
Stacy, questions, please.
Yes. Why are you deviating from the Mediterranean palette and the look of San Isidro Ranch kind of historically, and then now, just like the Biltmore, adding a more tropical aspect in the middle?
Well, it really we're going native at the far edges, and then we go into more of a Mediterranean thing. It's kind of layered concept. And then when we get around the central pavilion, we want that to be a little bit more subtropical, and then a little bit of that around the pools, because that's where, to make them look like that's where water is. Just to get the right setting and also to get the privacy.
I think more my question is how does that relate, though, back to kind of the context of the ranch when you switch it to more of what I would call even more of a tropical style by the looks of the pavilion? How does that relate back to the ranch and also to the greater mountainscapes and everything around? Did you explore concepts that were more endemic to California and this region versus like Mexico, Cabo, the Caribbean?
But we feel like it works into the landscape, but we'd be happy to look more at that based on your comments.
And it was just more of a question
Okay, yeah.
about the development. And then another question is going back down, can we look at the pool house? And the original pool house I see on the pool down below is centered on the pool. And I see now the expansion is not centered on the pool. It's kind of lost its axes. What's the kind of the driving thought on that?
So again, there are portions of the existing structure that are being incorporated, which would primarily in this plan, you see the bottom and the right-hand side. So we've grown it where we have space to the other side, which would be Plan East or Paper South on this. There is an existing bar and a couple of other programmatic features, so we don't have the real estate to expand in that direction. Materially, we did keep the gym portion of the pool house gym visually separate from the remainder of it so that it does still feel that there is a structure directly related to the existing pool. And then we have the Pilates, pool, bathroom, and yoga deck beyond that.
Is there anything preventing you from changing the shape of the pool?
It's a nice existing pool and we would prefer not to change it if we don't have to.
Okay, I'm just thinking like just how the relationship of the spaces go together. Okay, those are my questions though. Thank you.
Dave, questions, please.
I believe you noted that there may be some oak trees that would be removed. And I'd like to know the location, the size, the quality, and why they might need to be removed.
Yes, so right there where Steve's mouse is circling, there is one tree that is close to the proposed footpath. So depending on the root structure, it may need to be removed. We would mitigate, and we are working with an arborist to assess the proposed project in relation to the existing oak trees.
Is it a specimen tree or not?
The other oak trees are nicer. But it is an oak, so it is on the radar.
Heidi, are you on, please?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Is the project description that this facility is only to be used by hotel guests, or is this open to the public, please?
It is for hotel guests only.
And that's in the project description?
Yes.
Okay, very good, thank you. So then the question is there a gate at the road? how private is this? Because if this is only handicapped and I'm sure maintenance and things like that, doesn't it make sense to have a gate? And is that there, please?
So the road that you're referring to is a private drive.
It's called out Mountain Road or Mountain.
East Mountain, yes.
So that sounds public to me.
I would say that's an operations question that we're happy to review with the owner, whether or not they would want to include a gate at that drive.
Okay. Is there a parking attendant with this or just,
Again, that would be an operations
could
question.
you
Yes.
figure that out, please? And associated to that would be parking demand.
So again, because this is for use by guests of San Ysidro Ranch only, the majority of them, the ranch does provide carts and will take guests to their preferred location. However, if guests would like to walk up, that is why we've provided the walkway as well.
I don't remember who it was, but maybe it was Rob talking about handicapped access, the yoga pavilion, which is upstairs only, the yoga deck, and also that whole walkway that comes up without a ramp system. Yes, I see that you can bring people around. Are you therefore taking into the position of alternate or I can't remember what it's called. Alternate facilitation.
Mhm.
Is that how you're approaching?
Equal facilitation, yes.
Yeah, so that's what you're doing? Okay.
Yes.
And what about, it does not look like you're going to be able to get that to work to the pools. You did have some of the pool numbers on there. Are you assuming that every pool is accessible, or will the building department only permit you or allow you to have one, for instance?
So not every one of the spa pools is required to be accessible. We are just required to provide the equal facilitation within the spa pool. So some of them will be accessible but others do not need to be.
And landscape, I'm not an expert, it's certainly as much as Stacy and Rob, but with these pools and things like that, is that to be offset by the elimination of the grass? Is that how you're getting there, please?
Yes. So again, as mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, this area is currently lawn. And we are working with Montecito Water directly on water usage and accommodation for this proposed scope of work.
Yeah, but that's half of the equation. Wheelo.
That will, again, we're here for conceptual, so that is something that James Hyatt Studios is working through, is the different parts to make sure that we are compliant.
Can you provide us at least a beginning step on Wheelo at the next?
Yes, so we did provide a conceptual hydrozone plan, which begins to address some of the WELO requirements. But as we continue to develop the project beyond conceptual, we will provide that information.
For the last 6 to 8 months, maybe longer, over a year, I can't remember, we have not been approving paint colors with an LRV of over 84. On your drawings, you represent 88 something. I can't remember. Why? And why don't you conform to the 84, please?
Because this is the existing paint color used on other structures throughout the ranch, so we are proposing to match the existing color.
Public comment, is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 1, 0 San Ysidro Road? Anybody?
No requests.
I have one question that
One
wasn't
more
asked.
question, please.
The safety fencing around the spa, how are you folks dealing with that aspect?
Specifically to the spa pools?
Like, so you could I mean, the spas are a regular shape, so if they were kind of a different shape, you could cover each one and get by that, but just the safety fencing, that you have to have some kind of safety fencing around the spa, so I don't see that kind of integrated, and that seems like an important.
Yeah, again, we're still in the conceptual phase of this project. So as we continue to develop and work with the pool contractor, we'll make sure that all life safety issues are addressed.
I would expect the landscape architect to actually
Yeah,
work through
I
that.
mean, Jim is welcome to hop in.
Yeah, okay.
We will
Thank
do
you.
that, yes, of
You
course.
done? Okay, back to public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board, please, on item number 1, 0 San Ysidro Road, the San Ysidro Ranch, please?
No
Anybody?
request.
Okay, comments, back same order. Tip, please.
Can you put back up the site plan? Yeah, so I guess my first question for Heidi, which it really doesn't matter to me, but I want to make sure that we have a clarification because in the past, the ranch facility has always been open to the public. I see an advertisement for spa treatments and anyone can go there, which get to the question of the reason I'm asking this because I believe the ranch has, what, is that 41 cottages? Am I right? Approximately.
That sounds about right off the top of my head.
And if it's only for the hotel guests only, once again, doesn't matter to me. But then this seems to be a very, extensive spa facilities that it seems like it can probably support the Four Seasons Hotel. And for that, small 41 cottages. So that's one question I have. And yeah.
What's that? You're not clear about what you're trying to get at with.
What I'm trying to get at is that it seemed to be very ambitious in terms of programming, the number of buildings. And I know that you are trying to breaking up the buildings. So it seems like you have 3 sort of cottages, but in a way, it's a one big, long building by the time you finish with meeting all the code and whatever you're doing. And with the number of treatment rooms you have, it seemed like a lot of development on that for that hotel.
I think it's
And
important to clarify one thing, if I may.
yeah, so I meant like,
Heidi, clarify it.
The ranch currently offers spa services in the individual cottages, so it's not new services necessarily. They're just being consolidated in this area and replacing the lawn with the consolidated use. And if you go to any, resort hotel, they often have separate spa facility and treatment rooms.
Doesn't really address your point, but go ahead.
And I like the fact that you keep saying that this is conceptual for further comment, which is great. That's what this meeting's all about. And the reason it's kind of confusing to me because your elevation look very technical, like it's a quick drawing. So it's a mix between the two. That and I'm trying to understand the elevation because the scale is too small and that's something I can't see. And that's why I'm asking for some rendering. That would be helpful in seeing that. And back to the site planning issue, with all the exclusivity of the ranch and the treatment room, and then you look at all the potential spas, hot tubs. They seem to be very close to each other. It's almost like you can look at each other when you sit them and look at the other tub, and that seems to be go against the concept of make it a little more exclusivity between that and the treatment rooms. So that's just a comment. And then going down to the pool, it's I don't know why you're still keeping the same pool. It's almost like nothing left with this kind of improvement. The whole, had you look at maybe relay out the pool as one of the comment, maybe it should be more center into the building, the gym and the bathroom. Before it was in the middle of the little trellis. Now, it kind of off center. And even the shape is a little odd, and I'm sure the pool is probably about 40, 50 years old. I'm not sure how old the pool. So you can take a look at that and maybe look at the whole project and clean that up, and which get to the aesthetic of the pool building. The way I see it, it's pretty much a brand new project by the time you're done. So you might as well look at that as like the way you look at the new building, make it a more cohesive building instead of trying to mix an old and new because there's nothing old and there's nothing new. So I would take a look at that again and try to find a way to unify. And then I see that you have some glass railing on top of the new. Well, it's all new now, so take a look at that too. I'm not sure how it goes with everything. And the grading is one issue that we want to know. And if you can go back and tell us exactly, by the time you're done, what the height of the retaining wall from the back, and then the parking, if they are hotel guests, then probably we will walk up from the cottages. So if the parking only for staff or for the public, and last but not least is that then where you put all the equipment, because now you have a lot of water features, and we have an area that you can group them together, things like that. So those are my general comments.
Rob, comments, please.
First of all, I think where you're trying to go with it is fun. So I like where you're going with it. To some degree, I like the imagery of it. I don't, well, and also I agree with what Tip just said. I think that was really a good comment on that. And I don't know whether that helps kind of clean up that, the drainage channel and things like that. I don't feel like that some of your visual imagery that you're showing, which I like, and but I don't feel like the drawings kind of are there yet and kind of coincide with where you're trying to go with it. I think the drawings need to be far more sophisticated in terms of where you're going with it. That whole spa area, has the chance to be something special, and where you start to maybe, like you said, vary the sizes. And first of all, I guess along those lines, that I don't think that I please hope that you don't do fiberglass, that you do gunite and you make these all special. And then that whole spa area, maybe you expand the use of that property and have some things like what Tip was saying, where they seem to all be, maybe they're all kind of grouped together, and maybe because you don't need to have all ADA, maybe you have the ability to kind of get some at different levels and to get some terracing with them, would be part of it. And then, it's fun having like a little waterfall, but maybe the whole water element of it should be that you use the water element as a water, like that you have a stream going through there that has its own separate kind of water source, and then is separated from the spa. So the whole thing feels more natural and doesn't feel like a bunch of little contrived little spas with a little water feature on them. So that's kind of
We understand and agree with that. Yeah.
and so this is and so trying to wrap it up, but the I think that would really help this, and I appreciate the old school, hand-drawn renderings that are done, but I think this is a project where taking advantage of a good 3D person and really develop this to another level of where you're trying to go with it, I think is really needed, because there's a lot going on here, and to pull it off properly and have it all look really great, like I think is what you want. I think you need kind of that tool to be able to kind of work through all the technical aspects of it, along with trying to get where you want to go from a design standpoint.
I agree with that, and we're planning to do the model.
And
do
one
3D
final thing,
renderings.
I guess, I kind of like Santa Barbara subtropical. I think it's something why people come to Santa Barbara. So I'm open to seeing more water use around and concentrated around those spas, as opposed to having everything be like, if the rest of the ranch is meant to be historically really dry. I still feel like, you can kind of allocate the water, keep it dry in other areas, but at least have those spa areas kind of have that Santa Barbara subtropical that I think people come to Santa Barbara to see. So, thank you.
Robert,
Nice presentation, but I cannot support this. It's too aggressive. Seems incompatible with the existing ranch. And, I grew up here. I've been there many times. I just don't see this as being, again, compatible. I mean, it's a big, aggressive development, and I'm not on board with it.
is that it? Stacy, please.
Yeah. I think what makes San Isidro Ranch so special is it's such a classic California like monument. And it really does kind of reflect the vernacular of exactly where we live. And it really has a nice integration kind of back to the native with all of the oak trees and just respect to that. So I differ from Rob. I'm not a fan of the subtropical or the tropical look kind of being superimposed on what is a classic ranch style. So if there's some way to possibly bring the ranch back into the central spa zone, so it seems a little more cohesive, I think conceptually. I have no problem with the size and scale of the proposal, though. Having been to many spas, this one is actually on the smaller side of those kinds of facilities. I do actually like too what you guys have done with the buildings down by the pool compared to the last version that we saw originally. I think you're on your way in the right direction in terms of some of the earlier comments that were made. But I agree with Tip though about the old pool, like perhaps reconsider reworking the pool because it is pretty old. And I could see it then just having the whole thing being more cohesive from a design sense, working together. And then just looking at some of the woo calls and stuff, Jim. So in the last time for the Biltmore, you came in with an addendum plant list. That was for the city of Santa Barbara. That's not for the county on the woo calls. I believe that's a city addendum. I've asked a planner to kind of verify this because I've looked for it on the county level and I haven't found it. And then two, just be aware too, the trees, because of high fire zone, are too close to the buildings, the new trees. The old trees are great. So, I mean, I think technically you could go plant a bunch of oak trees now or the trees and then come in and build your buildings. They're existing, but you can't do them in the opposite. That's it.
Thank you.
Dave, please.
Yeah, I'm fine with the mass bulk and scale of the project, breaking the structures into a little bit more of the cottage. It is on. I just need to get closer. Okay. I'm fine with the mass bulk and scale of the project generally and the way it's broken up into what visually looks like separate structures. I think the architecture is adequate. It's not super creative, but I don't know that it needs to be. To my mind, what is super important then is the landscape and the way the landscape helps. The architecture is really a backdrop to the landscape. I am concerned about that pavilion structure. I'm surprised it isn't drawn in here. The scale of it and the proximity to these buildings, I'm questioning that. And I agree.
Structure is that, please?
The pavilion, yeah, and I agree with Stacy. I'm not convinced. You could justify it as a garden folly or something different that has to do with the spa, but I'm just worried about the scale and how it's going to look with this and any way you can integrate it more with these board and bat structures. I want to see a lot more information on that. I am also concerned about the oak trees, and if I would want a lot more information about the trees that you're proposing to impact the arborist report, and is there a way to do the walkway so you don't impact the trees? I'd want more justification before you propose impacting the trees. And same with the grading. There seems like there's more grading. That wall looks substantially higher than 5 feet. So a lot more information on the amount of grading and the size of the walls. But I think in general, I can support the project going in this direction, but it's the details at that point.
But just before I get comment, can you give me the elevation of the pool house down on the left-hand side and of the pavilion? So that's 540, and what's the pavilion? 560? 560. So that's a 20-foot height. Okay, and zoom back out. So we've got, I think, fairly obviously people of means that are staying in this resort. And you're gonna say, can you go up those little teeny bitty staircases that are steep and not, there's no real landings, there's nothing, 20 feet. That's a two-story building. That access up there, I think, is very, very challenging. Just in terms of, do I want to go up there? And so I think what's going to happen is that people are going to make comments about that, and there's going to be a lot of people coming up on carts up to that area in the back. I think that's going to happen the vast majority of the time. And I'm not so sure that that's, you know, I don't know that you've really disclosed that on this drawing in terms of cart parking and drop off and how that works. That's number one. Number two, at least as of now, I see the Montecito Journal every week or 2 weeks. I don't know how often it's published. Come up to the San Ysidro Ranch and enjoy lunch. I must tell you, with this large of a development, I could easily see an addendum come through and say, well, it's already built, so we're just asking to change that requirement about the number of people that can come. And I think that that's going to change the character of that street and the character of this whole facility. And I don't know how to make sure that that isn't permitted, but it concerns me because I think people's comments that this is aggressive, you're opening the door to that, it appears to me. Number three, I don't get the sense as of right now, if I were to be required to give one word for the San Ysidro Ranch, it would be romantic. I don't see that here. This feels, yeah, I don't want to see that. That's a very, very small area of this entire development. And so the buildings and how the buildings are dealt with, I just don't see it. And one comment may be to take that whole pavilion area and feet for new trees. Is that what it is? And take that pavilion and reconsider it as a landscaped element rather than a built element, so that people are sitting under trees. And therefore that changes that entire feel of that, brings back a lot of the romance. You still get to look out underneath the trees. It may take a little while to get the trees to grow up, but you guys know how to buy big trees. And get this away from just being built, and soften it up appreciably. I also have, quite frankly, some concerns about the separation between these spas. I don't see there's being a lot of romance there. I know that you want it to be there. I applaud you for wanting that. I don't think you've done it yet. And I would ask you to reconsider that separation, and then also the wheelchair access. I have no idea what that is. So please also check with the building department before you come back. There's a yoga pavilion up on the second floor or up on the top of a roof. I see no way whatsoever for someone in a wheelchair to get up there. So, maybe there's a lift or something, but I don't see that that's been addressed either. So my sense with Robert is that he may be right that it's a little too dense. And I think that there are ways to soften it with landscaping and by minimizing the quantity of buildings that may get you where you want to go. So do you want to comment? You came up, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Bill Medell, representing the owner.
Okay, very good.
Thank you. And we appreciate your comments. We take those to heart with landscaping and elevations and things like that. My comment is just to remind everybody that this was an event lawn, and we used to have 50 to 125 guests up there at a time for wedding events and receptions. We had a lot of party planners up there, a lot of tenting going on, deliveries. And we think that the intensity in getting to Robert's comment is that it's substantially less than what we've been using it for. And so we came up with this idea as another amenity for hotel guests. We think it's going to be a great amenity that a resort hotel is in dire need of. And again, as Jesse said, a lot of the massages are being done in separate cottages, and we have other masseuses driving up by appointments to provide these services. So again, I just wanted you to know the overall context of what's up there today and how it's been used historically. And then also that we are here for preliminary or conceptual, and we appreciate your comments. We're going to go back to the drawing board and work with the architects, landscape architects, and the owner, and see what we can come back and try to address as many comments as you made today.
Very good. Thank you very much. Anything else from the board, please?
Yeah, I'd like to add one more thing, and you might want to take a look at, I know that you have 6 spa pools. And it seemed like you probably have almost an equal amount of treatment rooms for that. And maybe another way to look at that is try to find a way to break up the buildings and make the spa and the treatment room a little more go together, make it a smaller scale and a little more, blending with landscaping and more green, and instead of group the building together and group the spa together. And then it's just an idea. If you can take a look at that, see if it's feasible.
Okay, we need to move on. We're good? Okay, thank you, everybody. Item number two, 196 Santa Elena Lane. Dave, you're up. Okay. And we do have a public comment letter today, and I think I saw that member was joining us. I think we ran a little long on that. If we can be crisp in our presentation, I'd appreciate it. No, not till it's green. Push that bar. It's still not, there you go.
Testing. Okay.
Chris, you're not on either.
Got it.
Go ahead. You're up.
Hi, Al Windsor. I work with architect Tom Meany, and this is Chris Gillen, the landscape architect. And essentially, we have a half-acre lot that was basically destroyed in the 2018 mud flow. This is one of the last lots, actually, that is still vacant. I believe the original house was built in the 50s and was either partially or wholly destroyed. And so the lot has been vacant for a number of years. It's a really nice lot. It actually has about 6 medium to large size oak trees, which Chris can talk a little bit more about. It's sort of a gently sloping lot. And our proposal here is for about a 3,400 square foot house with a detached garage of about 4,500 square feet, a future ADU if possible. And what we propose is a single-story residence as opposed to 2-story. Our FAR, therefore, is just over about 9% over the recommended FAR, and part of that is due to our having to skirt the drip lines of these oaks, and it is basically for circulation, a lot of it. The materials are quite simple, white board and bat for the siding, sort of a medium gray to darker gray composition shingle for the roofs, copper gutters, copper downspout, copper roof chimney shroud, and some stone siding at the foundation and retaining walls, and those will match. And I'm sure Chris can talk a little bit more about what's proposed for the stonework. Height-wise, we are allowed 35 feet. We are going to be about 25 feet below the existing grade. And once we build up the grade and we build the house, we'll be about 19 feet above our floor level, with a pitch of 8 and 12 and for most of it, and 3 and 12 for the rest of it. We're going to have metal clad windows, a darker color to be determined. And trying to think what else I should be talking about. So if you go to the existing photographs, I think they're sheets 14, I believe. You can see some pictures of the site. That right there. Okay, so that is existing view from Santa Elena. That will be the entrance off to the left side there. That driveway on the lower left corner photograph will be removed, and that will be landscaping. We're going to adjust the driveway entrance. It'll be to the left of that. In the background is a large Jeff Shelton house, which is nearing completion. So we're going to have to try to do some screening on the backside because the master bedroom is going to be facing that. So if we go down a bit, we can see some of the existing oak trees. Okay, let's go interior lot photos if possible. Yeah, so there's a couple nice large oaks, not too large, but again, our design wraps around these and really sort of fits in nicely on the site. Now, we met with the resources board and they gave us a finished floor level that's safe right now at about 112. And however, they told us that in a couple months, they're going to be easing some of these restrictions. And so we may be able to lower the house by about 3 feet, which would be great. So we'd have a lot less retaining walls and we'd be sitting down in the site a little bit better and save our clients some money. So if you go to the site plan, or let's go to page 2, let's look at the survey. You can see sort of a gently sloping lot. You can see our oak trees. If you go to the site plan, the next page, you can see how we're kind of tucked in there nicely. New driveway entrance on the bottom left side. If we go down another sheet, is our general floor level, floor plan for the house. Master bedroom's up on the far left, and the bedrooms are on the left side. Entry is in the middle of the south side there. Some of these stairs you see on the right hopefully will go away if we're able to lower the house by 3 feet.
Normally.
Okay, okay. Okay, let's go to elevations. So you can see very, very simple design, board and bat. What you're seeing the script board down on the foundation is actually going to be stone. And we have actually a photo simulation that actually shows some stonework. And then again, Chris could talk a little bit more about the stone we propose.
Is that it with you?
I think so, yeah.
Chris, please.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe go to the landscape plan, David. So I think Al touched on a lot of what I was going to say, really. I mean, the site was sort of dictated by the oaks and by the flood elevation. So if indeed we're able to lower the house, then that would be a major benefit and a lot of reduction in overall mass on the site and reduction in retaining walls. But the retaining walls we will be using, we're looking at basically a sort of natural dry stack Santa Barbara sandstone kind of look, which would be mortared on the backside, but you wouldn't see the mortar on the front. And so as you enter the site, we have some preliminary materials called out. So for the driveway, we're looking at colored and enhanced concrete at the moment with stone curb, as you can see at the bottom of the page, and a nice entry fountain on axis with the front door, which is nicely tucked back into the middle of the site. So there's a nice progression from when you park and, walking up to the front door, a couple of benches on either side there. And then, all the way around, we tried to, again, not be too overdeveloped here, but the pathways that you see that kind of meander through are just gravel pathways.
So we want to keep the permeability and also the sort of casual feeling throughout the site. But where we do have the hardscape, we're looking at, you know, some kind of stone tile on concrete subslab, aside from the left middle of the page where that is shown as a wood deck. And if the house got lower, that would probably change over to a patio. But moving into the backyard, obviously pool as the center feature, and the patio sort of descends right into that pool. And off to the left, there's a little sort of outdoor living room seating area, which is transitions to an elevated deck so as to stay out of the critical root zone of that double oak in the upper left-hand corner, and a little outdoor kitchen right of the pool, and the future ADU under separate permit shown on the right. And that really just
Don't talk about those here against state law.
right. I know.
Don't mention it, please.
Okay. Beyond that, I mean, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I think it's pretty straightforward, and happy to, you know, we are showing some screening at the back, as Al mentioned, we're gonna need some privacy from the adjacent house behind, but beyond that, Mediterranean style planting with some native underneath the oaks and such. And that's it. Happy to answer questions.
Okay, I don't know, Mr. Tanner, if you're still on. The procedure is this board will ask questions, and then it will be your opportunity to make it public comments. So questions, Dave, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that the finish of material on the, around the base is stone. In the elevations, it almost looks like horizontal wood siding.
Yeah, if you go to our, I think it's sheet 13. I believe we did sort of a photo simulation that shows, you can see the one on the upper left, it shows some of these retaining walls. And this is at the full height. If we actually have to go to 112.5, then we'll be out of the ground a bit. So we're going to actually have to have retaining walls, and we'll have stone, we'll have matching stone at the foundation as well. It doesn't really look like it matches exactly, but that stone is to be determined, but I think we're close.
Yeah, it'll basically be a Santa Barbara sandstone dry stack look.
Yep.
Yeah. And also something else to point out in this photo sim, the elevation of the garage, if we're remaining up high, would raise, I think we've shown it at 105.
Yeah.
It'd actually be at 106.5. So the difference in elevation between the garage and the house would be less than what you're seeing here by 18 inches.
And did you study any design options where the garage doors were not facing the street?
Pardon me?
Study.
Oh, sorry. Did you study any options, design options where the garage doors were not facing directly to the street?
No, I think we could, but it's going to be difficult. I think the garage would have to be moved more to the street so that there actually be some room to turn around. And the approach is going to be a little more difficult.
Okay.
We'll study that.
Those are my questions.
Stacy, please. Questions?
Yeah, I'm actually very familiar with this site. I did the landscape before it got annihilated in the mudslide. But I think actually, questions? I don't really have questions. I have comments, but we'll get to that.
Okay. Robert, please. Questions?
No questions.
Rob, questions?
So there's no landscaping up against the garage of any sort?
Well,
I guess there's not, because I can.
Yeah, on the south and west sides, there is not.
I wasn't sure at first which way the doors were facing, but so yeah, I think into Dave's question, in terms of looking at different ways of having the garage face, and are you willing to study or look at maybe even moving the garage and bringing it more to the street, where it seems like there is some thought that might give you some better options?
I just don't know if we have the space there, but we can certainly take a look
Is
at
there a
it.
setback? I mean, you don't have a setback on the garage, right? That you're
Yeah,
using on the
setback is up against, or the garage is up against the setback currently.
on the right-hand side it is?
Yeah.
Because the house projects more forward, that's why.
Oh, I thought you meant the side setback. The front setback, it's possible that it could move forward, I believe.
Okay, and
Wouldn't have,
those,
yeah. I think that would mean more driveway and less of a nice pedestrian entry
and
experience.
so along those lines, did you look at different ways of moving the, I know you moved the driveway. Did you look at kind of different ways of where you cut the driveway in off the road? Did you study some different options on that?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of either as is shown here or heading straight in, on, directly in on the garage, and we didn't want to present it that way. So we are showing sort of privacy hedging across the frontage of this, so that'll help to mitigate the public view of the garage, but,
Okay, those are my questions for now, Chris. Thanks.
Yep. No questions. Okay, so you said that there's a possibility to drop this house 3 feet. If we are extremely efficient, you're going to be done before 3 months. So what are we doing about that? Because I can tell you pretty much, from my point of view, 3 feet lower is a big plus.
Yeah.
So please.
Well, the owner in a conference call the other day actually said it was all steam ahead. He wanted to move ahead. So he said if he'd pay the extra money, if we have to go with a higher elevation, he'll do it. But if he also said that if during plan check or some point we're able to lower it, but we're already in plan check, he'll pay the extra cost because he'll save the money and he'll have a better project. So I'm not sure exactly how that would work. But the person at flood control, they basically told me that it could be June, it could be August before they actually relax the this flood level. So I'm not really sure what we should do. I'm not really sure what we should recommend to the client.
Okay, so is there any reason to believe that the grading or the land would change up and down if you're able to lower it? It looks like you're stepping down to the pool, looks like you're stepping up to the house. Is there anything about the dirt that would change if you're permitted to lower it? Please.
well, I think it depends on what kind of foundation, we go with here. The discussion was crawl space,
Yeah.
raised,
Mhm.
but if we're able to lower it, it may just be slab on grade. So
Okay, so then let me ask you this question. Would you be able to provide 2 sets of elevations at the preliminary approval level?
Mhm.
That we could approve both of them contingent on this or that, so that you guys have the path opened up? Would that be possible?
That'd be
for you
great.
to take that?
Be
Okay,
helpful, yes.
very good. Now, and Chris, there is a requirement, as I understand it, to have 5 feet away from all buildings
yeah, that
for
is,
the fire department. Are you sure that you have the room to do that with the site plan that you have here?
yeah,
Please?
there is no ADU on this plan.
I know.
Garage is, more than 10 feet.
So, okay.
And actually, we did double check that and it is okay. We're 6'8" currently, and Tom Meany looked it up and he said that works.
But will you be able to get a hedge and 5 feet?
Oh, you're talking about on the,
I'm talking about the entire plan.
uh-huh.
Would you please review that for the next
I'm
meeting?
not following.
As I understand it, the fire department says 5 feet.
Okay.
One of the characteristics of Montecito is perimeter hedge. We don't want to give that up.
Okay.
Can you please verify that you can put in would you be able to, here's the question, would you be able to verify that you can give the fire department what it needs and this board of having a perimeter hedge what it needs?
So 5 feet clear around all structure and then.
Fire department, and then
Got it.
landscaping that makes it continue to be in Montecito.
Got it.
Okay?
Okay.
And that's the question. So is the answer yes?
Yes. So look.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Okay, public comment. Mr. Tanner, did I see that you were online, please?
Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
I can. So I have a letter, which I'm happy to read in, or you can speak. Which would you rather do?
I would rather speak
Okay, and that's great. And I'm just going to tell you, state law prohibits any discussion of accessory dwelling units, ADUs, in this meeting. So please restrict your comments to anything other than an ADU. You have 3 minutes, okay?
Very good, thank you. Just want to reiterate what the architect mentioned. Yes, this is good for the neighborhood. Very happy to see someone bought the lot and is building something. Really, all of my comments boil down to just really one comment. The one comment is, it seems crowded. The site seems crowded with the development shown. And I recognize the FAR is shown at 109, I believe, but I didn't see anything comparing it with the rest of the neighborhood, which is, from some preliminary sort of views that I saw on preliminary houses up and down Santa Elena and the other streets in the neighborhood, it's way below 100. So just wanted to put a comment out there. It would be good to see what the rest of the neighborhood FAR is as well in the next sort of development of the plan. And again, want to reiterate, happy to see the development taking place and looking forward to a new neighbor. That's the end of my comment.
Thank you very much. Okay, we are here today for concept comments. Dave, please.
Yeah, in general, I think the architecture is fine, the mass bulk and scale, the board and bat style. It would be a huge improvement to lower the structure if you can, and I'm glad to hear that your client's willing to do that if that becomes available, that option becomes available. I think it would transform the project and make it so much nicer. Yeah, so I think that's those are my comments. I think the one thing is, would ask you to study that garage. I can see by the configuration of the lot and what you're doing. If the house didn't pull down there adjacent to the garage, then you'd have more opportunities to turn the garage and possibly even enter it without impacting the entry. So I'll just ask you to study that. And if not, to provide adequate screening so that the garage isn't, which I think you're starting to show in that rendering, but it looked like the other side wasn't screened with landscaping, but to really show us some renderings to make us feel okay about the garage and that whole entry. Those are my comments.
Stacy, comments, please.
I agree with Dave. I think the size, bulk, and scale is fine. And of course, it'd be ideal if you could lower it 3 feet. I think you all agree as well, and client agrees as well. It's just a matter of flood control. But generally speaking, I think it's cited correctly because I believe the house to the left of you at 199 Santo Tomas is like 3 or 4 feet above your current grade anyway, which is why it survived. So the fact that you have it massed over on that side, I think is smart. And with the garage on the other side as well. I think using the stone walls to kind of mitigate the height differentiation is appropriate. And I think you're being very respectful of the oak trees, and it's a nice design landscape wise. So I support it.
Robert, please.
All in all, I think a nice project. I would like to see the garage doors not face the street if possible. if you could change the floor plan a little bit, given the setbacks you have to do that. I don't know. That's, your job. And sadly, there's plenty of boulders probably around, so just make sure if you do have a raised foundation, it's real Santa Barbara sandstone. That's it.
Rob, please, comments?
I agree with my fellow board members on that. I think it's a pretty nice project overall. I think you graphically and the presentation is nice and the way it lays out. I do believe what Robert alluded to, what Dave and Stacy alluded to is that I think there's an opportunity, maybe it requires some adjustment of the floor plan to kind of deal with that garage differently, so that you can have some guest spaces and then, and then being able to get in the garage without looking at the garage doors. In the back, have you looked at having the pool turn 90 and what that might do? Because I see some, and before you answer that, I guess, is I see some opportunity with, there's some space in the back where it's, where some of the areas are too wide to be a walk and not wide enough to be usable functional space. And then there's some, like to the right-hand side of the pool is really pinched, kind of getting down there. So I think that might afford you some opportunity. And that all may change if you don't have to have a whole bunch of steps and so forth in it. So, but overall, I support where you guys are going. I think you've done a nice job.
Tip, comments?
Yeah, I think coming down to, I mean, just like all the comments come down to the garage and not only that, how tight it is to back out the garage door. And I was thinking that the probably a three-point turnaround to get out, one to get in, three to get out. So, and I think that's a pretty simple solution. You can take a look at, probably just swap the bedroom with the garage and move the garage back to attach to the house, and then you would have the garage door facing, the sideway and much more turning around, and put the garage at the lower elevation, and if the house had to be a couple feet higher, and I think that'd probably be a pretty simple solution that could work with everything else. So other than that, I think the project is fine.
Can we do the look at the rendering again, please? No, yeah, up there, upper left, can we focus on it? Number one, I think the garage doors, you just need to get a nicer door. And number two, I get a very cold, sterile, unwelcoming, those kinds of words when I look at that image. I don't know if the light is too harsh in the rendering. I don't know if the color is wrong. I don't know if the materials are wrong, but I don't get a heart connection with that elevation. Could you please take a look at it and try to find a way to, something? And hopefully you can drop it. Please, I think everybody on the board would like to drop it 3 feet. Anybody want to leave it up where it is? No. Okay, now where do we want to do with this next, guys? Does this need to come back to the full board, or do you want to just move this on?
Preliminary final on consent.
I like to see the front again, because that's all about the front. So I'd like to see it one more time.
Okay, preliminary, final, full board next time, okay? Okay, thank you very much, and good luck with that.
Thank you.
Item number 3, 484 Barker Pass Road. We saw a project near this, next door, I think, actually. And now this is up, okay? Please.
Hi,
I'm
Mark
sorry.
Winke, Mark Winke, architect, and Kyle Dixon, Windward Design Services. All right,
Louder. Be proud.
So, okay, so this project is a lot that was split off from a major mansion back in the day, and it was actually the cottage of the cottage caretaker cottage. And since then, it also, this lot faces a different street, which is Baker's Pass Road. And over the existing site, which is where the new house is being developed, is in the same location as the old house. And at this point, you are now looking at the entry, this rendering at the entry off of Baker's Pass as you drive up. The original house faced nowhere really. It was basically a cottage, caretaker's cottage that was sit in the middle of the field, down the hill from the mansion, which, do you remember the name of it? Okay, we'll look it up later. So the existing house was torn down by the previous owner, and they started a construction to make a bigger house. That person passed away. The house is then for sale, and the new owners are starting from scratch at that point. And the existing house, previous house, was a small cottage done by James Osborne Craig. And so that triggered an historic report. The right-hand side of the house is basically the small cottage, almost the same shape. It's like a gable-ended roof with a porch off the side. So that's basically the history of it. It has a detached garage off to the left, which is basically like another farm building, a little barn that's been being renovated or is reskinned and continued to use as a garage. That's staying. So let's go on to the next plan. So those show you, if you care to study them, they're basically just the house as it is now, waiting to get the building permit. There you go, the site plan. Yeah, so you can see what I was explaining before. On the left-hand side is the garage. The right-hand side is the house, and it's basically a U-shaped courtyard house. Go ahead to the next one. There's the
We
demo.
don't look at plans that much unless we have to, so.
Excellent. Next plan. Details. Details. I believe this is the existing. There's the new. It's a one-story residence. The plan, we're trying to be sensitive to a lot of the James Osborne Craig details from the original house, even though the house is gone. And so even to a degree that the entry of the house was on the right-hand side, we are continuing to have that same kind of look. So the right-hand form, the gable roof form on the right, and then the bedrooms are on the left-hand side of the main elevation, which is on the top. And the entry comes in off the main living room, dining room, kitchen wing, if you will, off that side. So you walk to the right, come up to the, I guess it's the southeast side of the property, and come in off to the right. So on the second drawing is the main entry porch. You can zoom in on these because these are even far from my eyes to see. There you go. So just very clean, simple, cottage-like still detailing, very small eaves, copper gutters, small broken up windows, wood doors, very small, diminutive, horn making, and wrought iron railings. So the bottom drawing below that, it's not actually sunken, but if you cut the section through the computer program up the hill, this is what you see. And then the porch, the courtyard is actually off the main entry to the back. So let's see.
Is that it?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Is there any landscape in this proposal?
Not
I don't remember.
No.
Okay, questions, Stacy, please.
That was my first question. Is there any, what's going on with the landscape? I mean, I'm looking at the site plan and I did go on and checked it out, believe it or not, on like Redfin or Zillow. And I could see on the photos at that point that it looked like somebody was installing landscape while the house was dismantled in its current state, just like your site photos.
Possible.
Yeah, at this end, that could be the consideration. Once we realized the historical significance of the property, any work that was being done had ceased. I don't believe the owners were aware of the conditions when they purchased it.
And then I see, because you said you're keeping the details original to Craig, but I see you're proposing an S tile for the roof, Spanish S tile?
So the detailings we provided are somewhat generic. It's just our approach to trying to provide a mission tile roof, our Spanish tile roof over and preserve what was there. We didn't have a lot to work off other than just a handful of photos of what was there for that original, I guess it was like a worker's cottage. But we would be happy to work with trying to find unique detailings that speak to his style.
Just because I mean, it looked like in
Probably
the,
be two-piece tile.
yeah, in the Redfin photos that I saw, I mean, it looked like a lot of that original structure was there with the original roofing, which was an old Spanish tile roof. And then too, like, I mean, obviously you have a ways to go. Are the windows all new? Are you doing steel? I mean,
I think at this point, they're aluminum clad wood windows and not steel, but most of the time we've entertained steel windows, they come back and we have to replace them because they're too costly. But so at this point, we're pretty confident they're going to be aluminum clad.
okay, that's my questions.
Robert,
I'm curious why the single light horizontal windows and how do they even fit in with the style you're going for? Did you say Craig or?
Yeah.
Who's the original architect?
James Osborne Craig.
Yeah, to me, that's not Craig.
We'd be willing to look at that. I think.
And then I also would like to comment, this is not personal. I get this on every single project that's trying to be Mediterranean. Can you consider using thicker walls at the major openings?
even the minor ones.
Because I do look at the floor plans and what are they, 2x4, 2x6?
2x6.
Can you set the windows back?
Sure.
Maybe do 2x8s?
And create a bit of like a
reveal?
to it. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's it.
Rob, questions, please.
I'm still trying to process this, but the driveway, well, first of all, what is the notion with the two entry thing that?
Yeah, we may actually have a rendering on the last page of the set. So the original entry, actually, this is a great view, comes around, or even here in that middle right render. The entrance to the existing structure was that open gable side of the building, and it was this little side path up to that small entry patio. So trying to preserve the style of the building as best we could, we thought to keep it. And then the new approach from the garage, which you see on the left with kind of the covered patio, that door leads into the kitchen. So it's more just the convenience factor of carrying things from the garage for the car into the home for the owner.
So for me, and when we get to comments, everything kind of counters my design fundamentals of like not having two entries, that there should be a hierarchy and they should be integrated into one, and then it needs landscaping. And then the entry kind of asphalt area, I please hope that you can maybe like study that and kind of create some shape into that where you have the paving you need for parking and to do basic circulation as opposed to that huge blob of paving. So that's it. That's my questions.
Yep, questions, please.
No questions.
Dave, questions, please.
I'm going to tag on to Rob's comments. You showed two window details, one where it's flush with the exterior wall and one that's recessed. Were you proposing both details?
No, I don't believe that was our intention.
Well, that's it for now then.
I don't think I have any questions. Public comment, item number 3, 484 Barker Pass Road. Is there anybody that would like to address the board, please?
No requests.
Okay, this is the first time we've seen it. Back to the same order. Stacy, please.
Yeah, I think we need more information on the existing landscape and trees that exist on the site, perhaps an updated survey. Not sure if this is a new survey or an old survey that you're using.
We can coordinate and get the latest information.
Okay, and yes, I agree with Rob about the entrances. It's just, it's confusion about where you're going when you enter the site, and it needs to be clear and well coordinated. And then too, I'd like to see more of the original Craig style integrated into the design and see how those two are coming together.
Is that it? Robert, please. Comments.
In general, I think it's a good project. It's difficult being built into the hill like that. But yeah, we need more Craig and less Orange County here. So let's beef up the walls. And the garage is existing, is that right?
Yes, yeah. And there are some photos, if you go to the site photos.
Why keep that? And why not redo the motor court? Is kind of, I'm tagging on to Rob. It's got to be really old.
We're not sure if it was built at the same time because they didn't have permits for garages a long time, so.
I don't think that fits in with Craig either, and I'm concerned about it. You know, you could do something different, nicer, different place, carriage house doors. I don't know. That's my comments.
Rob, comments, please.
Well, just along those lines, I'm not sure if the room is there, but that's where I start looking at, like maybe the garage doors could be moved to, I mean, it seems like there's a long distance from the garage to the front door. And maybe there's the opportunity to get where you pull into the garage on the side and then you bury what's now the door side of the garage and landscaping and reduce that paving and so forth. But yeah, I just think some of those pieces, the single walkway, the landscape, and then the paving need to be addressed in the next round. And but I think, I'm sure you guys will do a great job at it. So I think once you get past that, then I think you'll be in good shape.
Yep.
I think the project is fine and we can move it on.
Dave, comments?
Yeah, I think the mass bulk and scale and in general, everything's okay. But as Rob said, more Craig. Really, it's confusing when you have details on there that you're not committed to. Recessing the openings, having the real traditional details that are appropriate would really help the project and also help us support it.
Was there a historical report?
There is, yeah.
And are you required to reproduce or stay in the vernacular of or anything like that? Or did it basically say you can trash this thing and start over?
From the take from the report was that they were in support of trying to preserve some of the elements to respect the style, but they were also in support of pursuing the project as we had it. Now that didn't really at the time have the detailings we've discussed here. So I think pursuing those more intricate detailings that speak to his style would be in support of the historian, and we can coordinate with them to confirm that.
Are you required to coordinate with the historian, please?
I don't know if it's a requirement yet. I'd have to check in with our case planner, but we have been in communications with them.
At this point, Robert thinks that you're here in Orange County and you're here in some of the nicest work that's been done in Santa Barbara, 1920s, James Craig and his wife, Mary. And they're not the same. And they don't really stand a chance of being together. They're in just direct conflict with each other architecturally. So I think you got to figure that out. I think everybody on this board would prefer you to be in Montecito rather than in Orange County. But I don't know that there's anything that we would do to stop you from doing that. But it depends. You got to be honest to it.
Yeah, we're not trying to be Orange County for sure. And
Okay.
say that word one more time, I'm gonna.
But if
my
you
hat
go
back.
and you look at their work.
We have an original rendering from Craig when he did it, which was
okay,
basically a
they've got
short little.
12-inch walls. Go down
We
to
didn't
the
have
Salem
12-inch
Lake
walls on this
Go
particular.
down to the El Paseo. That was work done by both of them, right? As I remember, quintessential. Okay. And that's not what's going on here. So please decide what it is you want. We will be able to easily determine it from the details. So please give us some sketch details next time, and then we'll figure that out. You don't have a landscape plan? For all intents and purposes, this is a brand new building. We need a landscape plan, okay? The horizontal windows that are there. Yeah, please. Yeah, please, okay? And a very minor issue, but if you go to sheet 1 and zoom in on the FAR worksheet. The garage does not belong in the top section where it says attached garage. It is a detached garage. Put it in the lower section. It's not going to make any difference in terms of the mass, bulk, and scale, but let's get it right on the drawings.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think this project has a reasonable distance to go back to the full board. You guys agree?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do we want to take a shot at going to final, or shall we do this in 2 steps? Because of where they're at and quite frankly, the lack of clarity as to where you're headed. So I think you should just come back for preliminary and then we'll get you on to final for,
Consent or something, yeah.
Garage is really old. Think about what and maybe a new garage.
okay. Set
These all
enough.
just ideas, or is there a motion?
Concepts do not, concept review does not have a motion. Okay, and you will get minutes. Alex has been taking the minutes. And I think the easiest way to summarize that for you is figure out what you want to do and then go for it. I don't think you know where you want to go yet. Not from that. Okay? Thank you.
All right.
Okay, item number 4 at the applicant's request was continued. So we are dropped. So we are now on item number 5, which is 227 Hot Springs Road, please.
Hi, good afternoon, board members. Thank you for this opportunity to present to you.
Can you speak up, please?
Yes, absolutely. Can you hear me?
Shout it out.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for the opportunity to once again present to you, board members. We're on for conceptual today, and we're returning for, I believe, our second or third conceptual presentation. Today, we'll be discussing some of the changes we've made since our last meeting. Just to kind of give you a quick recap, in our previous meeting, some of the major concerns that were brought up by the board members were primarily to do with the driveway, existing driveway location of this property. You may recall that this property had a straight shot driveway on the right side of the property, or the east side of the property. And we were told to reconsider that driveway just because it seemed too linear. And there was a concern that that particular driveway wouldn't give the cars a sufficient enough turning radius. So we were asked to reconsider that. And so we've taken that into consideration and restudied the design and massing of the house to give us, to address those concerns directly and head on. Additionally, some of the other concerns that were brought up by the board members were primarily to do with the landscaping. There was a concern that we wouldn't meet the water efficiency conservation measures. And so we've provided a landscape package to kind of discuss some of the landscaping elements we'd be using, the planting schedule, and then obviously a wellow as well to show that we comply with the water efficiency measures. So if we can jump to the next sheet, please. So this page just kind of shows the existing site plan and driveway. And yeah, just to refresh your memory, that driveway right there was a major point of contention just because it was like an existing long shot that goes from the front of the property all the way to the existing garage at the back. With our revised configuration, we're going to be demolishing 3 trees, one of which is a 19-inch large tree. One is an 8-inch oak, and then there's one that's a 16-inch oak, but we have plans to save that with some minor plan changes. On to the next sheet, please. So this sheet just shows the existing and the proposed demo. We can jump to the next sheet as well. So this shows our proposed new, floor plan. We took the time to redesign and address the board's comments about the driveway and the garage, and it required us to restudy the floor plan and building massing as well. And now we're proposing a circular driveway in the front, which as a result, coincidentally allowed us to have a better floor plan, better massing configurations, and gain more areas for landscaping. And the building massing currently consists of 2 blocks. The front block consists of the more public features, and the block in the back is the more private bedrooms and so on. I think that kind of summarizes the major concept that we're discussing here. These 2 masses are connected by a walkway or a bridge between the 2 masses, but that kind of shows the general layout of the property with the new proposed location for the garage that you can see down there on page south, where we have a 2-car garage. If we can jump to the next sheet, please. This is our schematic grading plan showing the earth infill and quantities needed. Currently, the primary earth export involves the pool and deck areas, and the earth infill is proposed to level up the driveway on the front of the block of the building. If we can jump to the next sheet. So here we'll be looking on the top image, we're looking at the first elevation, which shows the front of the building. For the existing materials, we're leaning towards a mix of, rustic and modern elements. The materiality that we're proposing includes stone veneer, some timber and wood siding for the garage doors, travertine tiles for the flooring, and cobblestone for the driveway. And the proposed roof material is a standing seam metal roof. And in addition to the stone veneer, we'll be utilizing some stucco and wood siding on the existing building block that's in the rear of the property. If we can jump to that next sheet. Here we have some additional elevations that show the rear of the property and then the proposed addition in the front. You can see that on the upper image there and the upper elevation, and then you can see the back side of the property in the lower elevation. And if you can jump to the next sheet, we should have a render of our proposed design in terms of the addition. And this kind of just reflects, some of the materiality and the direction that we're going with, trying to incorporate a lot more of, softer landscape elements and just California native species that are require very low water usage. And we have a few more renders to kind of show the direction that we want to take this project in. The main concept for the landscape design was, kind of on creating a more harmonious and sustainable outdoor environment. And we've tried to incorporate that a little bit here. And you can see, a couple of renders there that show, this one shows the courtyard area with the pool and deck, and, some of the landscaping elements we're looking to utilize. And the next sheet, I believe we have, our landscaping, plan set, and this is the conceptual landscape design. As I mentioned earlier, we're trying to, keep it simple, sustainable, and just create a functional outdoor environment that, kind of blends into the natural beauty of Montecito and utilizes, a blend of Mediterranean, coastal, and California native elements. And, the overall aesthetic just, kind of emphasizes sustainability and just a seamless connection between indoor and outdoor spaces. And we'll be able to see some more of the materiality on the next slides to follow. So here is our schematic design for the landscape zones, and we kind of divided it up into 5 major areas. The first one of which is the arrival, and we have a cobblestone driveway that we're proposing there, with a tree roundabout and stone entry with plants on either side. And we also plan to incorporate hedges behind the fence on the front of the property, and to essentially to reduce the noise that could emanate from the street into the property. We have a couple more zones that we're proposing, one of which is called, sorry, if you can go back, so we have the next zone, which is essentially the water meadow. You can see it there on the left side. And that is, essentially a Zen garden area that's located between the living room and the front, on the right side of the property, almost center, and the rear of the property. We're proposing an ADU there. That's, a proposed quiet space with a shade tree, a small seating area, perhaps a small water feature, and then, a pathway between the buildings that will consist of a stone pathway, essentially. We also are proposing to have essentially a little wellness garden in the rear of the property, and then a pool garden that kind of surrounds our proposed pool deck, and with an outdoor shower and a sauna area. If we can jump to the next sheet, this sheet kind of displays the general mood board for the plants, and our main goal for this is to use California native species as much as we can. You can see that, we have an intention to have layered elements to give it more of a sculptural feel. And, some of the inspiration you can see there consists of, the Mediterranean meadow and creeping underground covers. We can jump to the next sheet to kind of further expand on that. On this sheet, we can see some of the proposed trees that we're going to be utilizing the property. I believe we have 12 or so olive trees that were going to be interspersed throughout the property, and we're also proposing to utilize a blue oak, one blue oak on this property. If we can jump to the next sheet. On this sheet, we have just, more of the combined view of, the different elements they're applying to use as far as the plant mood board goes. Just a variety of different mixture of elements that we're utilizing. Next sheet, please. And finally, here we have a detailed planting plan with a plan schedule. The legend's located in the following page, but this kind of just combines all those different elements that I touched on briefly on how we're planning to incorporate them on this property. And if we jump to the next sheet, that just has a legend of all the different, native species and different species that we're utilizing on the property. And then finally, I believe the last sheet should be a Wello calculation that shows we're meeting the maximum value of 0.55. And that's, largely in thanks to, using plants that are, have very low water use, which consists of the majority of the plants on this property. I believe 70% of them or so are very low water use plants. And then we're utilizing the remaining 20% or so, as low water use plants as well. And that should conclude the the majority of our presentation and kind of happy to expand on provide more details as needed.
Questions, Rob?
First of all, I heavily encouraged you to get a landscape architect, so I really appreciate that you've done such. When I look at the 3D imagery, I mean, I really like some of the individual pieces and some of the imagery and some of the vision of that that you're showing in there. What I'm trying to understand is there's a lot of it's kind of spread out. And so what is the thinking as to like the front house or portion? There's like these kind of pods almost where, you know, there's really not a contiguous interior space. It's all like little tiny smaller spaces. I just trying to understand kind of the thinking and the vision or the end user on that aspect of what you're proposing.
Absolutely. I'd love to introduce Amar Samha here to speak a little bit more to that. Amar, if you will.
Thank you, gentlemen. Yeah, with regards to your question, the main idea behind this house is to create a juxtaposition between the old and the new and have the occupants of the home be able to traverse throughout the property and kind of take in as much of the outdoors inside of the house. And then being able to, in a sense, create these zones or compartmentalized spaces where outdoor elements are intertwined through connecting sort of passageways or hallways that are primarily translucent or transparent in nature, makes it so that you're experiencing the outside of the house as you're traversing through it. And that was a major sort of design ethos behind this property. So in all of our iterations, we have continuously tried to spread out the property spread out the massing of the building on a large portion of the property, and in part to enjoy the landscaping features that we planned at the time to introduce into our design. And now with it being in full display, I think it kind of creates that understanding of being able to experience different parts of the landscape through different vantage points. And at the same time, making it so that the occupants of the home actually do get the chance to use a significant portion of the property. Namely, because we do back up onto hot spring, and the existing structure is the very back of the building. So we needed to create some sort of sound barrier closer to the front of the structure where we'd be able to isolate noise pollution to the front of the house or the main entry points of the home, and reduce the sound pollution within the back landscaping features of the house. So, you know, around the pool and in the Zen garden and meadow gardens as well. And that was kind of the driving ethos behind the sprawling nature of the architecture.
Oh, thank you. The only other question I have is there views where are the main views corridors? The mountains, ocean, whatever. I'm not familiar with the lot.
Unfortunately, there isn't any sort of expansive view, and that's in part why we leaned into this design ethos so that you could look into the inside of the property and create this natural setting as opposed to looking onto something that's more beautiful.
Okay, those are my questions. Thank you.
Robert?
No questions.
Chip? Questions? Dave, questions?
No questions.
Stacy?
No questions.
And I don't have any questions. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 5, 227 Hot Springs Road, please?
No online speakers.
We are on today for further concept, comments, and what should we do next? Rob, please.
So, and the reason I asked that question is like about everything. I guess you described it as everything's very compartmentalized, and so I mean I like when I look at your imagery, I like kind of some of your vision, some of the pieces you show, the one thing that I guess that I react to is that the house is such that you've got it so compartmentalized and I guess maybe who am I to say is that it seems like it has the net effect of really spreading it out and making for a much bigger building that you perceive from the perimeter than I guess it could be. But I, in many senses, I like kind of with your imagery, your 3D stuff that I mean, I like when I look at that, I think that there's some really nice sophistication to some of those pieces. So I don't know how to grapple with the fact that it seems extra spread out than it needs to be. But I'll leave that to the other board members, maybe can weigh in on that. Thank you.
Robert, please. Robert?
Well-designed, beautiful rendering from the front, very seductive, well-designed. I wish we could speak about the unspoken, but the property looks pretty intensively developed. And I don't know what we do about all this stuff. We're gonna have to talk later.
Like what?
The back.
About the back?
Well, I can't talk about it.
Okay. Chip, comments?
I like the house and it's creative. The rendering look much better than the elevation, so that helps. So I think we should move this along.
Dave, comments?
Well, I like the reconfiguration of the driveway and the changes that have made the project. I was really struggling with it based on the elevations, but when we got to the renderings and the imagery for the landscape, then I was totally on board. I just want to make sure that between now and as you move forward, the elevations really are legible and demonstrate that you've worked out all the details. I think these renderings are very seductive, and I just want to make sure the reality is the same. And it's hard to tell from what you've provided us on the elevations now. They're really, I can't even make sense of them. So I like the project. I like your imagery. You just need to come through with making it a reality and show us construction drawings that show you that you can get to these renderings. But overall, I like the project, and I'm okay with the way it's laid out. I appreciate what they're trying to do with the connection to indoor, outdoor, creating space that's protected from the noise, and I think it's single story, so I think it's a good design.
Stacy?
I mean, overall, I agree with the board. It's very seductive in terms of presentation and the renderings. But when I get into the details, I start to question things a little bit more. For instance, the center island in the driveway, beware. It seems really tiny to handle a tree. I think also too, the trees are being portrayed kind of a little undersized for what the species really are and what they do. And please look at that. Then also too, just as you move to the next level as well, on a planting plan, we really need to have the plant list on the same sheet as the plan, side by side. We can't shift between sheets and go back and forth. Also too, your water usage sheet lacks a plan that actually describes the zones as they relate to each of those categories. I didn't see a plan for this that backs any of this up. And then to like there, you're calling out a Quercus douglasii, which is a Northern California oak, and not a very attractive one. I would behoove you to maybe pick a different oak tree species, one maybe more native to the southern region, and appropriate more in our climate than the great Northern California climate. Other than that, though, I mean, the rest of the palette I think is great. So, yeah, I look forward to seeing it come back.
I think this is an unusual plan. Usually, most architecture is highly compact for cost reasons. There's significant number of exterior walls and glass, which is expensive, et cetera. But this is your choice, not ours. And I think that it is an interesting plan. I think that the landscaping perimeter out to the street and to the sides is going to be very important. You are getting closer noise-wise to a fairly busy street. And before you get going too much farther, I want to caution you about that. I think that this is going to be a noisy house on the interior. And I want to make sure that you are fully aware of that before you go on. Okay, but is it approvable? Yeah. Okay, so preliminary at the next board and then final?
Yeah.
Preliminary, final?
Final.
Preliminary,
I have
final,
another
full board?
question though.
Stacy, Rob, preliminary, final, full board?
Yes.
Preliminary final, yeah.
That,
Well, getting back to the other board comments, I mean, on the rendering, the doors in the front are like 2 feet from the eave. And on the elevations, they're all the way up to the ceiling. So what is it? Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff that's not quite
okay, so
dialed in.
that's why we're gonna look at, we're not just giving them a final approval, right? Yeah, so we're not giving them preliminary today either. So, yeah, I think, Robert, you probably don't know him, but he has done some extremely large, very highly detailed, very beautiful buildings. And he understands the importance of really thinking every last opening up completely. And I think what he's trying to encourage you to do is to follow his lead and make sure everything makes sense before you get back here. So we'll see you at preliminary final at full board. Next time, good luck. Okay?
Thank
Thank
board
you.
members.
Okay, item 6. Kevin, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. So, item 6, we have a public, not that one. Okay. So, okay, I don't remember seeing that letter. Maybe they got in. Okay, so are you guys, can we go to the site plan? One of the things that I think all of us have been, look, site plan. Yeah, that's a great one. Have been concerned about. North is to the right. The driveway's coming down and there's a garage right there, very close to the property line. I asked Kevin some questions about that earlier today and asked him to come and make a presentation to us about its legality, the history, et cetera, of that building. There's a comment here from 1131. I assume that's directly to the east, that it's too close to the property line. And there's a letter that says the same thing. So, and I think all of us have struggled about this particular area. So Kevin, would you please tell us the legality of that before we get going?
Yeah, no problem. The garage in its current location, which I think the site plan shows it as close as 2.5 feet to the current eastern property line, is legal non-conforming. It did receive a permit, a zoning permit and building permit for its current location. So that structure can remain as is. But with it being legal non-conforming, the applicant cannot install an addition directly over that garage as close as 2.5 feet, which they're no longer proposing. They can get as close as 3 feet to the eastern property line with a modification, and 5 feet without a modification through a variable side setback, which both are still under MBAR's purview to determine if it meets your bar findings and neighborhood compatibility. Let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, any questions of Kevin on just sort of this basic issue of where we are to get started? Anybody? Okay, please.
So to pick up on Kevin's comment, just to explain the original proposal that we came here a month ago. So we've had the proposed addition on the second floor directly above the garage walls.
Right.
Since then, like Kevin said, we had two options: to move it away 3 feet away from the property line with a mod request, or 5 feet away with the variance. So we moved it all the way 5 feet away from the property line. So the proposal you will see today will show significantly reduced second floor addition. And we also, last time, I don't know if the board remembers, had a proposal for the essentially cleaning up the existing crawl space just to have some space for storage and a small bathroom that would service the backyard, which put us over, I believe, 146% FAR. The board saw it as a very negative thing, and since we only were using it for storage, we removed this from this scope as well, and brought our FAR to 114%, which is from 146 to 114. That's as far as we could go. This is Michael DeGusta, who's the homeowner. He wasn't able to attend the previous meeting, so I'd love to give him an opportunity to speak about his project and the needs and what has driven the design.
Okay, and so because we are so tight to the property line, can we just look at the floor plans quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. Could you guys scroll to the second floor addition? Next page, next page, next page. This is existing plans. Next page. Keep going down, down, down. This one. So if you zoom in on the right-hand side, you will see the right wing of the house, essentially. You will see the roof of the garage below, existing garage roof, and you will see how far we stepped back the walls of the new addition in comparison to what it was before, and reduced the size of the bedroom and the closet and the bathroom and the laundry room. So that's how we were able to put the whole addition, pull away from the property, east property line, to 5-foot encroachment into the setback.
I don't know how much it matters, but it's not all net new, and that the laundry, there is an existing laundry room.
There was an existing laundry, yeah, obviously.
Right, that's not shown there.
Yeah. Well, no, this is a proposed plan, so,
I
yeah,
understand
yeah.
that it's not all new at that level. There's not all new at that level. There already is the laundry storage area up there that this would be replacing and expanding.
Do you want to, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Hi, Michael. Sorry I couldn't be here last time I was traveling. I did watch the whole thing and appreciated your feedback. And yeah, I mean, we're just trying to get one more bedroom suite for my extended families from Australia. We have the grandkids now. We're just trying to have a spot to visit. And also we're trying to do it in a way that's most consistent with the house and as compact as possible, right? It was sort of the aspiration, and definitely want, privacy as well. And to the seller, yeah, again, that was sort of just a opportunistic, hey, it's dirty and messy down there, and the wife complains when I put things down that they get dusty. So definitely fine with hearing that feedback and removing that from the project, because that wasn't really, sort of just a optional cleanup. So definitely happy to remove that from the project to help with the FAR numbers and such.
So yeah, if you want to go to the plan before that, a few pages, I think maybe one page before, but actually one more. So we had the expansion of the crawl space. You see the red dimension line on the left-hand side of the page. That was the expansion of the basically rat slab that we were hoping to put around, and some drywall to kind of clean up that space for storage. Since then, you will see that the only space we're finishing is the left bottom corner, which is a small bathroom that would service the proposed landscape plans with the pool and other landscaping, so that the people who are enjoying the backyard don't have to go all the way up the steps, all the way into the house to use a restroom. So it's a significant reduction from the previous submittal. And then there was a lot of questions last time about landscaping and privacy to the neighbor on the east side. And Chris is here with his landscape plan, but also, to describe the existing conditions of this area of addition. And the existing hedge actually is well above the second story windows as it is right now. So maybe Chris, to save time to the board, maybe we can switch to the landscape plans to kind of address it, because that was a big subject last time.
Okay, thank you, Kate. So along that eastern property line, there is a, 20 to 22, 23-foot hedge along most of that property line. And so it would do that's the landscape plan. No, wait, that's the
On the adjoining property. The hedge is on the adjoining property.
it's on their property on
Hedges on our property.
So it's significant in height, basically for half of the distance, as you can see, kind of between the two residences, and then it sort of drops down a little bit where the addition would go, but then comes back up and where the proposed balcony would be. So that would be fully privatized by the existing hedge. And, our client wants privacy also. So if need be, we'd plant additional mature hedging wherever possible to gain that privacy.
At the end of you guys, or is there?
Well, I mean, I can walk you through the landscape plan really fast, David, if you want to jump to that.
Yes, please, whatever you want.
Sure.
Was that a separate file?
No, it's in the beginning of set. You scroll, colored site plan thingy.
I'll just start giving time. Along the frontage, there's no real change. There are mature eucalyptus trees all along the front border, which you can see on the right side of the page here. All those little yellow dots are very mature eucalyptus. We do want to infill between and around those to get more of a privacy screen, because you kind of see underneath them currently. The driveway entry does not change. You can see where the sort of pickup is shown. There's a little yellow dot just above that. So there is an existing tree that's really brings that entry down so that it's very quaint, I guess you could say. And existing gates to remain. The driveway and parking area are to remain but be replaced with pavers. And we added the trash enclosure there, which you can kind of see between the white car and the house. And also there's a existing pedestrian columns and gates that lead in from the driveway to a new walkway to the front door with a little fountain element. Currently, I don't know if we have the survey in here, but on 3 sides of the house, it's pretty much all lawn. And so we've made a major reduction by probably 50% of the existing lawn on the property, but they have many kids and still want to be able to use that area for activity space. So we maintain some of that lawn. The pool is proposed to be new, and there's about a 5-foot drop on the left end of the pool with a little infinity edge element that drops down to a lower basin. And so the backyard there with the 2 sort of circular lawn areas is what is that? Probably 10 feet maybe below the front yard. So just kind of reshaping there, some existing elements to remain. Otherwise, new pool deck, and you can see some new trees planted throughout. There's really good screening on the 2 east and western property lines along the southern, excuse me, along the southern edge, though. It's a big mess of somebody planted some Chinese elms that are just all sort of plunging up together. So we're going to remove a few of those and then put in a new mature hedge to the south. But otherwise, just, you know, privacy from the street, privacy to the south, and new pool and new walkway to the front entrance. And that's about the extent of it.
I think it would be great if maybe we could switch to exterior elevations just so that the board can see the adjustments from the previous submittal in terms of just that's existing, I think. Okay, let's go to the confused. No, next one. No, that's this look the same. Go one page up, I'm sorry. Oh, that's the side view. No, sorry, one more. Oh, so I guess two more down. That's one. Okay, so you will see on the right-hand side is the area of the addition. You will see on the bottom right of the page, you will see the garage on the lower level, and that's the existing garage. So you could easily see how much we stepped the addition on both levels, top and bottom, to move it away from the property line. And then should probably go on the previous page where it shows the eastern line. Yeah, okay, so this is the eastern line, which is closest to that neighbor. The lower level windows are windows in the proposed gym. We can certainly, those are heavily screened at that level. The windows above are bedroom windows and one bathroom windows. None of those windows are operable. That was one of the requirements for this encroachment in the setback. So those are non-operable windows. Just wanted to mention that to you. That would be it.
Is that it?
Yes.
Very good. Questions, Rob, please. What? Well, we're still asking questions. We just started asking questions. Is that okay? Questions, Rob?
Yes. Okay, let me start with the pool. Are we going to try to do a pool cover on that with that shape, or what is the thinking there?
Maybe. I mean, I understand with the shape. I think the thought was that we actually would cover it, and you'd basically just have that little section at the end that is exposed.
Okay. Chris, your plans, function really well. They're nicely thought out. Your geometry is something I would probably not feel comfortable doing, but I respect that you have that kind of freedom in the way you approach yourself as a landscape architect. But my main question for this is the landscape style doesn't seem like it fits the architecture. So I guess, how do you respond to that?
As far as the hardscape shapes?
Yeah, the geometry of the flavor of it. It's almost Dr. Seussian kind of to me, but that's just me. And like I said, I appreciate your creativity. I mean, your drawings are great. So I'm just kind of asking that question, and that's how I'm reacting to it, I guess.
Right.
Doesn't mean I wouldn't support it.
Sure. Well, yeah, it's not for everyone. But I would say I've been doing this sort of style for the last 6 to 8 years, and it looks a lot better in person than it does on a plan. It's kind of a cross between, formal and informal, and curvilinear and rectilinear. So when you actually see it on the ground, it doesn't look as dangerous as it does on the plan. So that would be my defense of it, I guess.
I don't know.
It was asked with the most respect, but
I understand.
I was just wanted to ask the question. So those are my questions. So that's my question.
Robert, questions, please.
It's not seductive, I guess.
No questions.
Chip, questions, please.
No question.
Dave, questions, please.
No questions.
Stacy, questions, please.
Yeah. Chris, hardscapes.
Mhm.
How wide is this path going in that arcs in as you go past the parking in the front?
I think it ranges from 4 or 5 feet, and at the widest point, probably closer to, 8, 9 feet. And part of the reasoning there is it gets wider is that the entry off the street, it's kind of 2, 3 pathways converging into one space. So it's meant to be sort of a standing area for folks to gather. Let's say if you're having a party and you're coming in, it's a little more plaza-like, I guess. That could be certainly probably reduced somewhat.
I'd like to know the original hardscapes, like square footage for the property versus the proposed, I think would be a good thing. Do you have that offhand?
Not offhand. Obviously with the pool and the pool deck, that would be greatly, changed, but we could certainly do a study on the front yard. The driveway doesn't change, and there are some sort of gravelly areas too, but I could look at that and do a comparison.
And because the house has such a formal style to it, naturally, I mean, I would suspect that there'd be more kind of formal comments in the landscape to kind of reflect that. How are you picking up some of the formality? I mean, I respect taking it on a left turn too, but
Well,
tell you what we told you. if
Yeah.
That's helpful at all.
yeah.
Yeah,
What's
which
the
is
direction from the owner.
yeah,
Give it up.
my fault. No, I'm not my fault. I mean, I think we love the house and the style of the house, and we definitely want to be in keeping with that. And that's why we, like the proposed addition is very much just like continuing the house style exactly as is. I think one of the things we're looking for is to match the style, but also, as my life likes to say, not too great gardens, right? Where it's like still has some youth to it and still stays current and feels relevant and doesn't feel like just an artifact from the past, right? So we're trying to just be respectful and in keeping with the style because we love it, but just also want it to be still feel current and not like a timepiece was sort of the thinking there. And that's why we liked a little bit of, having a little flair in the landscape, and we thought was a nice way to bring some of that in while still leaving the house in its current style. That was our thought process anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. And we also have, I mean, for instance, the little fountain on access with the front door is sort of a focal point to focus on as your entry progression. And I would say the pool is kind of formal, actually.
It is, yes, I agree.
But yeah, and I think also the materiality, using the use of flagstone, which is a classic material. So it's really just those shapes that alter the style a little bit.
Yeah, and the fountain, for what it's worth, is in sort of keeping with the house. There's one in the backyard and one on the terrace, and sort of, there's sort of a fountain theme also, which helps with the sort of soundscape.
What's the material though coming out and down the steps, down the back off of the house? What's the existing materials?
Flagstone, I believe, right?
Is it all flagstone?
There's brick at the base of the stairs. There's little brick sections.
Oh,
currently at the base of either side of the stairs, there's red brick.
But the steps themselves coming up, the big, long flaring steps, those
Oh, those are
stone?
Yeah, they're stone. They're like travertine.
Like a travertine. And then what kind of flag are you using?
Likely the Oklahoma.
Downtown Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And, okay, and then water usage. I'm concerned. House is very lush.
Yeah.
Extremely green, lots of lawns, big pool now.
Right.
How are we?
Well, as I mentioned, the lawn has been reduced by probably 50%, and beyond that, everything else, we're not going subtropical or anything. It'll all be drought tolerant plantings. So we haven't done the Wheelo calyx yet, but obviously if we don't satisfy that, then we'll go back to the drawing board and further reduce the lawn. But like I said, big family, lots of activity.
For what it's worth, one of the things I'm personally excited about is with this redo is to make it as water friendly as possible. Have sensors in the ground, have all the modern irrigation redone, have all that stuff be top notch, state of the art. Where the current stuff is, not that. I'm definitely looking forward to hopefully reducing our water usage, even from where we've tried to get to now.
Okay, great. Those are my questions.
You mentioned the use for the new second story. I didn't catch it all. Could you just summarize that again, please?
Oh, sure. So with our kids now, the sort of existing rooms are spoken for, and so having a guest room for our in-laws, we have the only grandkids in the family, so the aunts and uncles and the grandparents like to come visit, including from Australia and such, and having a nice spot for them to stay. They refuse to stay anywhere else, yeah, which we enjoy. Was sort of the thinking there for the long haul for the years ahead.
Okay,
Just to, when they visit.
thank you.
Just want to mention one more thing. We did, before we came to you with this proposal, we looked into actually proposing an ADU, a detached ADU, an attached ADU to the property, for that use that the homeowner is intending for their family. And we found this to be the most minimalistic and least intrusive of developments to accommodate his family.
Which we liked as well. We're trying to make it as minimal and as keeping with the property as we could.
Okay, public comment. Do we have anybody? I know we have somebody back here. Do we have anybody online, please?
No one online.
I did not see a letter, but it looked like when this guy, so Jessica, you're with us, right? Please come up. I'm going to treat you like I treat everyone else, which you get to either speak or we'll read this in. Which would you rather? Okay, and you have 3 minutes, and thank you.
Hi, my name is Jessica Bixler, and I'm the daughter of Sally Lucy, who resides next door to the DeGusta property. My mother recently had surgery and unfortunately cannot be here today, so she's asked me to speak on her behalf. She's also sent you a letter outlining her concerns. After reviewing the plans for the proposed eastern addition, my family believes this development will negatively impact our home. My parents have lived in their house for nearly 30 years and have experienced 3 prior developments at 1129 High Road. During one of those projects, they expressed concerns about the proximity to our property line, which is only 2.5 feet away. At that time, they were reassured that setting the roof pitch back would make the development less intrusive, which has mostly held true, aside from the disruptive noise currently caused by the air conditioners outside the garage. The current proposal for a second story is on this legal non-conforming setback feels like an overreach, compromising both our privacy and peace and testing the limits of good neighborly patience. We also believe this project does not align with the architectural guideline goals, which emphasize the importance of mutual privacy in all aspects of house design and site layout, including noise and lighting. The guidelines state the architecture should respect the privacy of immediate neighbors. This proposed development fails to meet those policies. The eastern elevation plans indicate windows facing our home, which we feel will result in light and noise pollution, as well as blocking sunlight to our second-story patio. The proposed windows and balconies directly overlook our property, violating the architectural guidelines which state that privacy between adjoining properties should be maximized. As noted in your previous meeting, the existing hedge, which provides minimal screening for the garage, will be entirely inadequate to conceal the second-story addition. Given the size of the DeGusta property, we believe there may be an alternative location for this significant new development that would cause less impact on the surrounding neighbors. To ensure that the full extent of these impacts is understood by all parties, we respectfully request story poles to be erected on the site and a visit conducted, including a visit to our property. We hope that the MBAR will protect our privacy and quality of life by upholding the principles of the Montecito architectural guidelines. Your commitment to these guidelines is what continues to make Montecito a special place. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are on for concept. We have had one meeting before this and then today's meeting. Comments, Rob.
Can we go back to the landscape plan, please? So it's kind of this kind of follows from what I said before. There's part of me that thinks that the landscape should be, you know, more in keeping with the style of architecture and be a little traditional. But then there's part of me, it's kind of like if this is the landscape architect's design and the owner likes it, then kind of who am I to kind of get in the way of that? Because I think, you know, fundamentally, you do have some formality, you know, there's some of the basic fundamentals working are there. There are a few little things that are awkward and that don't seem to work, but anyways, so I guess I'm anxious to hear how the rest feel, so I'm gonna reserve that. I can kind of go either way with it, so.
Robert,
I'm a little perplexed now. The second story addition that was close to the property line was removed, correct? Or not?
I mean, you mean the previous proposal that we came in?
Yeah.
with? Yes, we pulled it,
it's,
we pulled it away, we pulled it away, 5 feet from where we
So
originally
it's
proposed.
5 feet from the property line.
Correct.
Okay,
Both second and first story additions that we proposed were moved away 5 feet from the property line.
okay.
But they're not no longer stacking over the existing.
But for the most part, I mean, this house is there
Yeah,
and it's been there for a while and I support this.
thank you.
okay with it? Okay, we're on for concept. So Tip, comments, please.
Can you open up the side elevation? Showing the new bedroom wing. Yep, that's it.
Back.
I'll go back one. So you're proposing 3 large windows looking into the next door property.
I mean, they're really looking into the hedge, but so the two with shutters are basically the window at the nightstands of the head, basically at the headboard of the bed. And the one is in the wet room where the bathtub is. So it's not something that would be, lit up all the time or somebody would be staring at these windows. And we're happy to decrease the size of the 2 windows on each side of the bed because they're really just gonna have minimum sunlight coming in.
Yeah, I look at the massing, it's it gets a little worse, but it's not that bad. But I'm more concerned about the 3 new windows are looking into directly 5 feet looking into the neighbor's property. So I would like to, I think I can support it if you can eliminate them or deal with skylight or something or high windows and that way you don't look into the next door property. So that's my comment. And yeah, the FAR is low over. It's not that. It's a small site, only 0.57, right?
Yeah. Would you be open to frosted glass in the bathroom so we don't eliminate completely the window?
Say again.
Frosted glass in the window, in the bathroom windows? Because it just seems, if this elevation would look really sad.
We're on concept.
Yeah, so you know what, I mean, that ideally, if you can add, I think that add some high windows because it's really, if for both neighbors, you definitely don't want to be in the bathroom, open the windows and look into the neighbor. That doesn't work either. So I think that for ventilation and some light, I would support some high window that would bring light into it and but not really looking into. And with a proper planting, I think that it's probably as good as it gets.
Dave, comments, please.
Starting with the landscape, I like the landscape. I'm.
Thank you, Dave.
Especially the way you said on the ground, it maybe isn't quite as.
It's way different in person, yeah.
And I think it's some energy that this place could probably use, it's like the owner said, I support that. The addition, however, given the fact that you're already exceeding the FAR and then you're asking to encroach in the setback with a variable setback for a second floor And in that condition where a good portion of it, you don't have space for screening, it's there, but it's on the neighbor's property. The fire department required pedestrian access around it, it would be gone for sure. I just don't think it's appropriate and that you should find somewhere else. I understand your need for a bedroom, but I think this is impacting the neighbor and it goes against the standards that we're trying to uphold. And I very rarely do not support a project, but in this case, I can't support this. I think you need to find a different avenue to provide that bedroom. It's too impactful to the neighbor and given those existing conditions.
Stacy, comments, please?
I mean, I can echo Dave. I have concerns about the impact to the neighbor as well. And I think in this case, in order to really study it, I think it is appropriate to have story poles erected if they want to continue. The second story addition, and it is very close to the property line.
Okay, anything else?
Landscape. I'd like to see just, I'm fine with the odd angles and everything, Chris, that's fine. I think it's generally a good plan. I'd just like to maybe suggest exploring reducing the hardscapes a bit, especially in the pool area. It seems very large up against the rear end of it. You have a very large hardscape space. Thank you for adding the furniture, by the way. It's really helpful. That gives us a sense of the scale to it. I think it just needs a little bit of carving and refining. And two, just beware of the woo calls and if you could sprinkle a little formality into it, just to layer it like a fun layer of formality. I think it can work both ways. I think you can have both, like Piet Uldoff. He's, whimsical, yet he still has some formal. There you go.
Before I talk, Rob, please.
And sorry, I didn't mention this before. So I question actually whether you will pass Wheelo with that much lawn. I don't think you will. In my experience, I think either, or unless you do synthetic turf, and I certainly hope you don't go to buffalo grass or something because it won't be functional for the homeowners. But so either, and and the proportions feel right, but I right now, I don't think you'll make it unless you do syn turf or pare it back. And that may go hand in hand with Stacy's comments.
Well, the one thing about the lawn in the front yard, it's kind of has a slope to it. So if potentially we could use a different low water grass in front that, and then the back would be the main activity lawn, but I'll take your point.
Okay, so I won't vote for this project. And as much, what I'm hearing, I asked one question, if you remember, what is the use? I did not hear, I've got a baby on the way, which would suggest, which we have heard. I mean, I've been on the board for this board for over 8 years and another board for almost 8 years. I've heard it a lot and I did not hear that here. What I heard was grandma and grandpa. Now, I've also over the years, I've heard people say, I'm getting older and I don't want to walk upstairs. But you're demanding that they do that here. And you are having the kids running in and bothering grandma and grandpa. Now, I don't know if I'm the oldest one in this room, but I may very well be. And, getting away from the kids at night or on the weekends and just sort of having them come and visit or let me come and visit is a whole different experience rather than having them come at me all the time. And if we approve this, there's nothing prohibiting you from then coming back in and putting in an ADU. So I won't vote for this. I think that there are other configurations that will allow you to have use of your property and not further impact the neighbors to the east. And it'll be single story that you can walk into where you're separate from the kids, either under the house or as a separate structure up near Chris's beautiful pool. So I'm not going to vote for this. And we are on today for concept. What do we want to do with, let me just get a quick vote because I may be a minority here. People that are willing to support this configuration the way it is, please raise your hand just so I can see. I've got one.
Not the way it is.
Okay, I don't hear, yes,
No, I think it needs some refinement.
but is it, no, this is concept. Can they massage it and get it with this basic thing? I've got one vote yes.
So just make sure you have your mic on if you're
It would need story polls to,
Okay.
if they wanted to continue to pursue this, just to prove that it's not impactful to a great degree on the neighborhood. Because right now it's coming out as very impactful.
Yeah, because it's very difficult to really see it.
You want to do a site visit?
Yeah, I think if we approve it, we need to do a site visit.
And we will come, ma'am, we will come, but you have to meet us at the site visit and invite us onto your property, please. It will be a Thursday morning, probably about 9. You are required to monitor our agenda. Please give your email address to this gentleman, David, and then you will get our agendas. It's your responsibility, okay? So let's continue this with these comments and we'll figure out what's going on then, okay? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Last item. Item number 7, 333 Hot Springs Road. Tom, did I see you out there? Who wants to go first? Anybody? Who wants to go first on this project? David. Okay. Yeah.
This is final, isn't it?
No. He's, yeah, prelim final.
Oh, I see it now.
We're on prelim final. Okay, I'll figure this out. So. If you want to go first.
Oh, I've seen
Oh,
this, yeah.
Okay, Rob.
I wouldn't be and Dave was.
Robert, you're first. Okay, Tom, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I'm Shelby Janke from SEPS, here with Tom Henson and Will Bishop. I'm just going to very quickly give an introduction. This project is 333 Hot Springs Road. It's a new residence, a debris flow rebuild. You've seen this before. We're here today for preliminary and final approval. We're really excited to show you how the plans have developed, and we've taken your comments to provide additional details and further develop the landscaping. And we're looking forward to your comments. Tom?
Okay, it's pretty similar to what you saw last time. It's a traditional New England style understated 2-story house. The only thing that's changed besides the landscaping that William will talk more about is we've added an outdoor stone fireplace in the lawn area toward the south end of the house. Next, please. Floor plans very similar to what you saw before, just with more dimensions and detail. So next, say there's upstairs, 3 bedrooms upstairs, 1 bedroom downstairs. Steep pitched roof, 1-story walls on the first floor, and then the second floor fits underneath dormers on the second floor. Next slide, please. It's the roof plan. So again, very similar to what you saw before. Front of the house. We've added 1 dormer in the lower elevation, centered over almost at the center of the lower elevation. There are French doors On the left side of the house, we added the dormer above there to balance out the gables and also to give a view of into the oak grove from the primary bedroom. Next, please. Then up above is the rear of the house and below is the east elevation. Again, just finessing details, but no changes in height or area or anything substantial like that. Next, please. These are building sections. Next. More building sections. You can continue. These are details. It's like traditional New England style details. We have wood casing, wood windows, double hung, wood French doors, not clad, painted. Continue, please.
No.
Pergola details. We have a wood pergola. It's fire treated wood. Is required by current code. Or the a couple patios. Next, please. And then we're to the landscaping.
Good afternoon, board. Thank you for having us today. Good afternoon, board. My name is Will Bishop. As Shelby said, I'm with Arcadia Studio. Basically, I don't think the design has changed too much from before. We, like Tom said, we did add the fireplace in the lawn with a small flagstone patio for some seating there. And pretty much it. It's kind of an oak woodland type landscape. We're using mostly natives and drought tolerant plants. The pathways are all going to be decomposed granite with full height stone steps. And that's pretty much it. There is a small lawn area, but all the low water use landscape offsets that water use, and we're well within our low allowed water use. And that's pretty much it, unless you guys have questions for us.
Okay, questions, Robert?
Could we, excuse me, could we pull up the colors just?
Oh, yeah.
Quickly, thank you.
New England, mostly white or off-white with black shutters, front door and garage doors. And then the base of the house will be like Santa Barbara sandstone and with a faux shake roof.
Is there anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
Are you the owner? If you'd like to join us, please do. If you like it back there, it's great. Okay. Okay, that's good. Questions, Robert?
No questions.
Stacy?
No questions.
Dave?
No questions.
Rob? Tip? Site plan, please. Okay, that's a good one. That's fine. Can we focus up against the garage, please? You're in the setbacks there, right?
We're using the,
Yes, I know what you're using. You're in the setbacks, right?
yes,
And you're a fairly tall building, right?
yes,
And you have windows looking to the east, which is towards Hot Springs Road, correct?
one high window and a shower.
One high window looking to the east, correct?
Yes.
So the question is it possible to take that structure, not the main house, leave the main house, that structure and move it out of the setbacks? 3 feet. Please.
It would block part of the house,
Oh.
front of the house, but because we're very restricted, we have 2 front yard setbacks. There's a front yard on the left
Yeah,
side and the
so?
right side.
So,
We can look at it. Or, well, we're here for,
very final. So if you'd like to take just a minute, because the reason I say is I would think if I owned the property to the east, how dare the Board of Architectural Review permits a 2-story building within just a couple of feet of my property with a window looking on me? So how did the board approve that?
But John, it looks out on a, isn't that the driveway that you?
No, the driveway is up north.
Well, it's one story on the east property line. That's the one-story eave, and then the gable, the window, the second floor
Look at the
does
elevation.
respect the. Yeah, maybe pull up the elevation. The second story is not in the setback, only the garage first floor is in the setback.
Look on Google Earth.
That there, like upper right-hand corner. So the wall in the right is one story high, and that's the back of the garage.
That's the question. I think it's awfully tall on the setback. And, you know, it may be a side yard setback, but there is a legal lot to the east of you, correct? And we have to assume someone's going to build there, right? And from my point of view, I think you're kind of taking over that portion of their property with this tall of a building this close to the property. That's my, so, and I guess the question is, do you agree?
I see what you're saying. To do that, we'd have to like move a window in the dining room so it's not looking out at the side of the garage and like make other adjustments. Can we confirm?
No, what do you guys think? Am I off the wall here, or should we ask him to spend a couple minutes to think about it?
Precedent.
Which precedent? Okay,
The second floor setback.
Go Dave on this.
Which, that's what it is.
Yes,
Second-
do you think it would be,
Floor is pulled.
Second floor is respects the setback.
The fact that it's.
Well, no.
Windows is not outside the setback.
but it's still the mass, okay, so I may be the only one that cares about this. From my point of view, I would love it if you guys could take a minute or two and discuss whether or not you consider that. And then we'll do a quick bathroom break for everybody and come back. So,
I have a question. What is the distance of the dormer to the property line?
About right around 10 feet.
And that's a side yard setback.
Yes,
but
And the ground floor is
7 feet.
So you're encroaching to 3 feet.
Yes.
And then the bottom of that dormer is 4 feet high, 5 feet high. You said.
Something like 5 or more. It's in a shower.
okay, so
Could you consider just moving the whole building 3 feet?
that's what I want.
Well, the thing is, we have very little frontage and it would block off a dining
Looks
room
like
window,
the
so we'd have to kind of shrink the
Motor
dining room.
court drive area
It's
is
very
pretty big.
Yeah.
And the parking is generous. I mean, I just worry about, again, getting into, like John said, I didn't really think about it till he talked about it, precedent setting, buildings and setbacks.
Okay, let's take a 5-minute, from our quick little break. Tom, what happened, please?
Yeah, I'll.
Or Shelby, what
just-
happened?
Just for a minute. Given that this is, our third time in front of you, and we haven't changed this on the site plan at all, it's a bit disheartening to hear it now. We would have hoped that we could have heard it earlier if that was something we needed to study. Everything, I just want to reiterate that how it's proposed using the variable setbacks is per code. We're providing additional setback compensating for the rest of the residents. The second story, as we've noted, is not encroaching into the setback. And your comment you made about potentially setting a precedent, I understand the concern. That said, this is, allowable per code, allowed variable encroachment. So if it's not something that would be supportable, perhaps that should be, discussed with the way the ordinance is written. The desire of the owner would be to keep it as is. Right now, as proposed, she doesn't want to move it. Tom, maybe you could discuss that if it were to be moved 3 feet, it's going to be right in line with a window.
Yeah, can you go to the front elevation? Yeah. 3.0 there. If you see the double hung window on the left and the dormer on the far left, if the garage moved over 3 feet, it would be encroaching in that window. So we would need to redesign things. And it's just late in the game to do that. So
And I'll just mention it. And we can't move the main residence any further so that we could move it outside because we are up against this double front setback. So that house really has no wiggle room. We're right up against that front setback.
I think, so let's take a vote on it, and if we approve it, we approve it. Yeah.
Your argument is based on a thinking process called ministerial planning. Do you know the difference between that and discretionary, please?
Yes.
Okay, and do you have preliminary approval yet?
We do not.
You do not. Okay, so everything's up for grabs, okay? So, but tips,
Yeah.
just so, please don't make an argument about A when you should really be talking about B, please. Ministerial discretion. Okay, people that are okay with the design as it is, please.
Can I see the site plan again?
Yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. All right.
Okay. You can support it. Okay, everyone that can support it, right hand or left hand. Okay, so you've got 4. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Can you eliminate the dormer facing the east in the garage or shower or whatever?
yes.
Okay, so at least they're not looking out onto that property. Well, they're gonna eliminate it.
Go away.
Yeah, so, okay.
And I think it's important to note that this isn't a vertical face, it's a roof falling away. At that one point, it's at the setback and then it's falling away. So somewhere in between a single story and 2-story. So that's the difference between this and the previous project in my mind. And I think this is appropriate.
Did I,
Right, but
did I
it's
call for
falling away.
public comment? Public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 7, 333 Hot Springs Road, please?
No requests.
Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion for preliminary and final approval submitted with the exception of removing the dormer. No, not keep the dormer, but removing the window.
I could support that.
Because that's the shower. I think you need the height.
Yeah.
You need the height, or did you just want the light, please?
The height doesn't hurt. There's less
So
redesign.
because the dormer sticks out,
Yeah.
you need it for the shower.
Yeah.
Can
That's
we see the upper floor plan of the garage?
The elevation there too.
Well,
Yeah, because it keeps
There's
the
some-
elevation consistent with the house.
you know, the Libero is an incredibly beautiful building with a big flat area.
Different.
No, you
Not
don't need,
living in the Libero.
Well, you know what, that's, and you have light coming in from the other side.
And the cupola.
We're still formulating a motion here. So
Well, I would like to make a motion for preliminary approval, as is,
Preliminary or preliminary final?
preliminary and final, yeah,
just as
as
submitted.
as submitted.
Okay,
Okay, I can second that.
okay, thank you. Any further discussion, please?
No.
I think it's a nice design. I think that it's unfortunate. I don't think it's neighborly. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay, 2. Okay, thank you very much. Do I have a motion for adjournment? Is
So moved.
there a second?
Second.
Third.
All those in favor? Aye.